Luke would never say that. I'm sorry. Well, in this version, see, I'm talking about the George Lucas Star Wars. This is the next generation of Star Wars. So I almost had to think of Luke as another character. Maybe he's Jake Skywalker. He's not my Luke Skywalker. He's not my Luke Skywalker. I said to Ryan, I said, Jedis don't give up. I mean, even if he had a problem, he would maybe take a year to try and regroup. But if he made a mistake, he would try and right that wrong. So right there, we had a fundamental difference. Who is this guy? How did the most optimistic, hopeful character in the galaxy turn into this hermit who says it's time for the Jedi to end? I read that and I said, what? I mean, that's not what a Jedi does. I mean, a Jedi is optimistic. A Jedi has tenacity. He never gives up. He doesn't secrete himself on an island. But you'll...
Buck Rogers, it's got everything in it, every ingredient. George made a movie that he wanted to see, not a movie that he thought the public would want to see, because if he thought that if he'd made a movie like that, we would be seeing a disaster film again or something like that, probably.
A touch of the Flash Gordons as well in this.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's a pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention of it.
I think that the thing that George never did was maintain the status quo. And I think that that's really important because...
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you!
Something that George initially set out to do was a kind of 3-act saga with these 3 trilogies, and I think we felt that we should honor and respect that.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
Telling fantasy stories is the thing I love to do. And I'm the crazy law loyalist who's all about the details and probably frustrating the bejesus out of everyone by saying, yeah, but what about this? And what about this bit? But he can do this. And everyone's going, hey, just do the thing. Henry, just do the thing. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do the thing. But you do realize he can do this. And I enjoy that aspect of the storytelling. I enjoy getting into it. I enjoy being that person who's always about the details.
What is this thing called sex? And I gotta try it. And what? Wait, what are we talking about?
Is it terrible when they scream?
No, it's awesome.
Oh, God! Oh!
What's up, all my Watchable Droids and Wookiees? It's Anna, also known as That Star Wars Girl, and I'm joined by the one and only Jesse Milestone of Mindless Entertainment.
What is up, bitches? How are you doing? Happy New Year. First Matriarchy of the year. Stoked to be here. Stoked to be back. I've been missing you like crazy, Anna, so I'm so thrilled to be back.
It's been so long. When you said today, it was like, oh, it's been like a month, right? It feels like it.
It's weird. It's weird to go that long without like face-to-face catching up and all that stuff.
I know. So everyone, we are both aware of what's going on in the world right now. My channel has never been about politics. We are not going to discuss that. We're only going to talk about Star Wars. And, you know, if there's political stuff within the Star Wars universe, that's fine. But real world politics, no. We are aware of what's going on. There are channels out there talking about it. If you want to hear stuff or talk about it, go over to those channels. It's completely fine. I'm not going to judge you for that if that is what you're interested in. But so also... Drunk 3PO is going to be having a live stream with Star Wars Theory, Star Wars Theory, and Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. I thought they were starting at 6 p.m. It looks like they're starting at 4 p.m. So we're actually going to cut this short, and I'll send all of you over there, and then me and Jesse can just talk off air about all the stuff we don't talk about on air. But so I think everyone is kind of aware of what happened. So Disney's like, oh, look, guys, everyone. High Republic, yay, it's going to save us. Look, the 16-year-old chick, and all the characters are exactly the same. So me and Jesse are going to be talking about, oh, no, there we go. That's the button. High Republic. So, Jesse, what do you think before we start?
2 words. Ram, Jamaram. What? one of their leading characters for the High Republic is Ram Jamoram.
Yes.
First name, Ram. Last name, Jam-O-Ram.
Which one is that?
The one that looks like Tito from Rocket Power.
Oh.
The fat, ugly one that you can't tell if it's a guy or a girl. Like Trailblazer, but uglier and more useless looking.
I think it's a dude.
I think it is too, but God, it's hard to tell.
So what my initial plan was to go through. So they did a live stream for everyone that was not aware. It's on the Star Wars YouTube channel. You can find it. Here's the link. I'll put it in the chat. I think it's in the description of this stream. But so my plan was to kind of go through it and EFAP it, but it looks like we're not going to have enough time. But so basically, I have watched this. I did a little video. I'll do a few more. If you guys want to go watch it, feel free. You might lose some brain cells. But it's basically, all the people that are in the new story group. Where's the... There you go. So it's all these people and they're talking and you lose a lot of brain cells.
Oh, God. I'm losing brain cells just looking at them.
So one of the things that I find funny, so this chick, Justina, she is on record where she was at a speaking event and she was speaking to people who are aspiring to be authors, and she admits to never reading more than 50 pages of a book, and she doesn't like to finish novels because it bores her. And then what I like to do, Jesse, is I like to go and I like to watch interviews of people. And that way you get to learn about them. That's how I found out about her and her not reading 50 pages of a book or more than 50 pages of a book, if that.
Take a moment to acknowledge Ryan Bush. Bold of you to assume I have brain cells to lose.
Ah, there you go. Well, so I've watched interviews with these three, but what I thought was funny was, so Claudia Gray, she changed her hair. She used to have bright red hair and glasses. So she's changed her look a little bit. She's actually pretty nice. She interacts a lot with people on Instagram, and she seems like a pretty nice lady. Everything I found, I haven't found, every interview I've watched, she's very informative. I thought it was funny, though, because Claudia Gray, when she talked, she did all these interviews about what it's, for people aspiring to be a writer. And she said, you have to read books. You have to read every day. And she said this in every single interview. She's like, how can you expect to learn and, become a good writer if you don't read and you don't see what are the good things and what are the bad things to do? And I was like, that is so funny that these two are the exact opposite in their tactics. And she's had 2 books that have been popular, and she's had a whole series. So it's pretty ironic. I haven't read her works yet. I'm going to, because I want to be more aware of these people. But from everything that I've seen from Claudia Gray, she seems to be a really nice, genuine person that likes her fans. I cannot talk about her actual writing ability, but she is the one that at the end, when they said, may the force be with you, she threw up the live long and prosper. So,
Yeah.
But, yeah. So what have you heard about the High Republic? What do you know about it?
I know that it's woke garbage. I know. So what? There's a band of smugglers. I know just a little bit about the character. There's a band of smugglers, some other stuff. I know that it's taking place. Okay. So what the big thing I heard, though, is that they're now showing us a world where Jedi enclaves are scattered throughout the galaxy, thus creating some big questions like, okay, so if the central hub of the Jedi is not in fact Coruscant, like we were always told from, I don't know, the guy who created it, but actually the Jedi have strongholds sprinkled throughout the galaxy, it strains credulity to think, one, that Order 66 could have been so effective when primarily carried out by one man, could have been so effective in such sweeping terms across the entire galaxy. It is also strange credulity then, even more so. It already bothers me the way the prequels set up this strong Jedi, order, and then not 30 years later, the world is completely forgotten. And that already is enough for me. But I could believe, okay, the collapse of Coruscant, the collapse of this, people just don't have access to that information. People on the outer rim planets and stuff aren't going to have, they're not going to maybe know or care about what the hell Jedi are. They're just a legend or a myth to them. Fine, I can buy that if I have to. But now you want me to swallow the fact that there are Jedi temples planted all around the galaxy, and that in just a few short years after Order 66 was executed, in just one single generation, the entire galaxy, who used to be rife with Jedi as the peace enforcers, have now completely forgotten that they ever even existed, to the point where it's like, who are you? Because this is the heavy bullshit. And this is why you cannot ever trust Kathleen Kennedy, and you can never trust Lucasfilm while she's at the helm of it. Because we just got done celebrating. Oh my fucking God. After years and years and years of saying all we want is for you to do Luke justice, you finally at least fucking tried. For me, it wasn't there. It was not enough, and it was not acceptable. But you at least, I acknowledge, you tried. We were heard. How much work did it fucking take to be heard over that one simple little thing? And now, right after, we're not even done celebrating that victory, and you're going to slap us in the face with this level of bullshit? Come on.
Oh, yeah. But also, Jesse, since you're on your rant mode, I want to show you something. Okay, so everyone look at Jesse. Okay, Jesse, say hi. Okay, now Jesse, what does this look like to you? Have you seen this before? Wait. Before you answer, wait. I want to get your reaction. Okay, so this is the Jedi. This is Stardust or Starfire Station. It looks a lot like the Justice League. Right?
Quite a bit. Shockingly similar. It's funny. It's like, ooh, you know what? If we take the Justice League space station and we just, I don't know, repackage it into Bespin because we are that creatively bankrupt that we can't even steal something from another property and repackage it into something new. We literally have to steal something from another property, steal something from our own property that we did not create, smash those two things together, and act like somehow the most assiduous and observant fans in the fucking universe aren't going to notice. This is the shit where they treat us like we're fucking stupid, like we're not gonna know. Oh, Star Wars fans, you just care about this stuff. Like we're not, like we're just these idiotic morons who walk down the street going, Star Wars is everything, I hate everything else. No, we are people who thirst for knowledge. We quest for more things to be passionate about and to care about. We know all this shit. You are not pulling the wool over ours. You are not being clever with this bullshit. We know exactly what you're doing. You are not smarter than us, so stop fucking insulting us by acting like you are.
Well, you know what's real? I mean, guys, I'm not. They didn't obviously invent the idea of like, oh, there's a space station, but it's like, couldn't you have designed something that looks a little bit different? I mean, remember when you had the blockade in the Phantom Menace and how, it was the sphere with the curves around it, the one that was for the why am I blanking on the Separatists? So it's like, it doesn't even look like it belongs in the Star Wars universe. It looks like it belongs, in the DC universe. This doesn't even look like Star Wars. And a lot of the things that they keep saying, it's like, oh, we wanted to look at like the knights, like King Arthur and stuff like this. It's like, but don't you understand that the point of being a Jedi is to be able to connect with the world and the worlds around you? And being in outer space, I mean, yeah, Jedis can still use, the Force in outer space, obviously, but I feel like there's a disconnect. This is, the Jedi were always on planets and the Sith were more so, stationed in the spaceships and, the Death Star and stuff like that. But it's like, that's a pretty big target, if, they're trying to justify it with, oh, we're going to explain the whole spaceship kamikaze shit with the fucking purple-haired cunt thing. And it's like, I wonder if you wanted to ram a spaceship through something and you were like a bad guy, where would you want to go? As compared to like going on a planet. Well, let's go to the fucking space station. So, I don't know. It just feels out of place. And really, Starfire or Stardust, really? That's what you're going to name your space station? Stardust. That's my cat's name.
This is
because of Ziggy Stardust.
Star Wars things have new names that are either built from words, Star Destroyer, you know, Death Star, whatever, these generic sounding words put together in new orders to create something different. Planets have names: Tatooine, Naboo. These don't sound like words you've heard before. These don't sound like anything else. Coruscant. These they're all, and that's the beauty of, that was the beauty of when Lucas did things right, right? They're familiar. They all sound like words. They're not just difficult to say jumbles. They're easy to say. They're pleasing. They remind you perhaps of unrelated words or terms in your language. So they feel familiar, but they're completely alien and foreign. They're not based on anything else. They're not stolen from something else. Stardust is the name of a Neil Gaiman book, and it's been used a gajillion times over and over. In fact, it's a little nod to their fucking Project Stardust or whatever thing. You know, it's so. It's once again the one of the diseases that's infected Star Wars that these people brought into it. It's making it more and more pedestrian. It's this idea that we have to de-specialize, that nothing can be special in order for it to be for everyone. It's playing the lowest common denominator instead of the highest. It's saying, instead of being aspirational, saying we should all strive to be higher, better, and have more, we should all accept less and less and less. We should all be bludgeoned with the reality that we're all exactly the same, that no one is special, that everything is just boring, pedestrian, blah. It's the death of imagination. Why? Because imagination is what drives us to ask for something more and better. And these people don't want that. They don't want more and better. They don't want us wanting that. They want to keep us running in circles and chasing our own tails over the same bullshit. When I say these people, I mean the people driving the narrative, the people selling this, not the social justice warriors, because the reality is they're stuck in the same fucking rat race that we are. They're chasing us. We're chasing us in each other in this endless wheel. And until we break out of that wheel and start just saying, it's not about me squabbling with fans over, I like this Star Wars, you like that Star Wars. It doesn't matter. I can love The Mandalorian, you can hate it, vice versa. Same thing with any of the Disney Star Wars movies, and that does not put us on the opposite side. We only end up on the opposite side when we lose sight of the point. The point is, get your fucking politics out of my movies. Get your bullshit pedestrian day-to-day minutia crap that you are so obsessed with because your world is so small, because you're so entitled that you think the bullshit first world problems you go through day-to-day are important and relevant and should be shoved in our faces because you've turned Hollywood into your personal therapy ground because mommy and daddy didn't love you enough or something. Stop shoving this shit into my face. Start making it about good things. That's the only conversation I want to have. I don't care if you like the movie. I don't care if you hate it. I don't care if you think it's problematic because you bought into some social justice bullshit narrative. I don't care if you think it's problematic because it pushes some bullshit social justice narrative. I'm not interested in that shit anymore. I'm interested in talking to people who create the bullshit, the people on top, and saying, give me something better. I'm not arguing with these people anymore because I'm sorry, I don't care how much you love or hate The Last Jedi. If you're just a person talking about how much you love or hate The Last Jedi, you're not making changes. Kathleen Kennedy makes changes. Jon Favreau makes changes. Dave Filoni makes changes. These are the people I'm talking to when I talk about Star Wars. Love it, hate it, I don't care. I demand change. We don't get change by chasing our own tails. We don't get change by playing into the exact narratives they want us to play into, which is this us versus them. We're fighting you. You're fighting us. When the whole joke is we're not. We're all being stepped on by the same fucking boot from them. And the sooner we wake up and realize that, the sooner we can come together and get nice things, like a glimmer of what perhaps Luke Skywalker could be if the right people are steering the ship. But that only happens when we do it together, when we ask for the right things. And when we know that we've gone too far in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the things. I saw somebody, I guarantee you this. It's like when the beer was like, Ree, I hate your videos. Leave, dislike. And it's like, you probably didn't even watch it. So I have watched this live stream. Like I said, if you were actually watching the stream when I stated this, I have watched the live stream. I watched all of it. Multiple times because I make videos on it, or I made a video on it, and you can watch it. It was my attempt at humor because I was laughing my ass off at one of the villains, which is a direct ripoff of the Borg, by the way, because their idea is it's like walking plant people that have magic Sith roots, and they don't think like everyone else. They don't think like animals or anything that's like an animal type of species in the Star Wars universe. I'm like, so like droids? like droids. They're not animals, so like droids, right? They don't have any idea of the repercussions of their actions on the universe. And then when they said that when you're fighting one, you're fighting all of them because they're all connected in one mind. And I'm like, so the Borg? You mean the Borg? So yeah, I have watched this.
Do they also adapt to any weapon after 2 hits? Do they also adapt to any weapon after 2 hits?
Well, considering they're saying that this alien species is going to be the biggest bad in the galaxy, but somehow is nowhere anywhere after the High Republic era. Funny how that works, right? But so, I'm just like, it's a plant, and your heroes have lightsabers. Also, it's a plant. Pesticides exist. Just get a fucking X-Wing and turn it into a crop buster. The reason why the thumbnail for this stream is the High Republic characters on a fucking tractor is because when I edited my video, I'm like, oh, it's a plant. The plant is a bad guy. Okay, get fucking pesticides then and just spray them down. And if you're worried that the humans will get, it'll be toxic to the humans or the aliens, isn't it convenient you live in a galaxy where droids fucking exist?
Right.
Come on.
So I see that Laura M. Ibsen person in the chat. Your attempt at a clever troll name is really not clever. We all get what the joke you're making. Yes, it's the sample text from all the fucking stupid.
Also, 400 people watching, please smash the like button, please, and thank you. And again, this is probably going to be a shorter stream because Drunk 3PO is going live in a bit, and he has some big guests coming on. So they're actually about to start. So I think I had a super chat from the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey where it says, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Breaking, Henry Cavill cosplays Baby Yoda. My uterus is ready for that.
And you just got another one come in too.
Oh, I did. Thank you. Oh, AK Rex, thank you so much, dude. Evil Plant, grabbing the weed killer and spray evil, GG Evil Plant. Also love you both. Well, thank you. Yes, you are a great person. Yeah, there's going to be dinosaurs in there as well for you, AK Rex. Aren't you excited? Dinosaurs! But, somebody pointed out, so I am not one that intakes in the recreational type of plants. But so I didn't notice this, but somebody pointed out the concept art for this. Let me get up the plant, people. The concept art looks a lot like a hemp plant or something. Let me get it. They're like that. It literally looks just like one. But so this is the Borg plant.
That looks like an acid trip.
Yeah, but they have Sith roots. That was their opener. They have Sith roots.
Now, do you remember how when we were younger, how like Spencer's Gifts had it was like devoted to the weed people, and it had all that weird, trippy like fairy art and shit? That's what this looks like to me. This looks like somebody like who used to smoke way too much pot and work at Spencer's, and like draw in their spare time and got pretty good.
Oh my God, Spencer's.
This is what they eventually this looks like that. This looks like the final form of like a Spencer's weed nightmare actualized in visual art. And you got another one from Mark C, by the way, too.
Let me read this. I would say the villains are less like the Borg and more like a network of mushroom spores. Well, okay, that is true. But the way that they said it is that it's the British dude that says it, is that they're all connected by all of their minds are linked because they all have connecting roots. And I'm like, how are they walking separately if they have connected roots? That doesn't make sense. And it doesn't surprise me because the one lady that is writing heavily with this character is the one that's a Trekkie.
Yeah.
So it's like, I wonder where you got the idea of one linked mind where they don't care about the repercussions of anything that they do. They're not like anything you've ever seen before. They don't function. I mean, it's like when, Guinan is talking to Picard after Q takes them to the side of the galaxy and he introduces them to the Borg early. And it's like, you can't reason with them. You can't bargain with them. They will not stop. It's like, I wonder where the idea for the damn plant people came from. I wonder.
It says it quite literally looks like it was taken from a D&D monster manual. It does. It's like the idea is 100% the Borg, and you just packaged it. You just like looked through a catalog of D&D monsters and modeled it after one of those. Like, there's no creativity. They're so creatively bankrupt. Also, I should keep telling you when you have a new super chat, because every time I tell you, oh, you have another $5 super chat, or like right when I'm about to, you get another one because you have 2 more right now.
Okay, thank you. K Mac K, the great thing of this super chat, just every day fire kills plants, a match will destroy them all. I know, it's so, and I'm like, you have lightsabers. I'm pretty sure in the Star Wars universe, considering that was their big thing, was that, oh yeah, there's fire troopers now in the First Order, they got flamethrowers. I'm like, we have flamethrowers now in our universe. Of fucking course they have flamethrowers in Star Wars. Just go. And again, lightsabers, the fucking Force, pesticides, Padme's gardener.
We've seen fire.
Down.
We have seen fire in Star Wars. They know what fire is. They use fire. So,
oh, gotcha, Marksy. Thank you for the super chat. It was a Star Trek Discovery joke. Yeah, because they have like the spore drive and whatnot.
Chivas. But like, they use fire in Star Wars. It is unconscionable to think that they haven't invented fire-based weapons. I mean, I think we see the Mandalorian use a blowtorch at some point too. Like, we've seen blowtorches. It's not new. Fire exists in Star Wars.
Wicked still thank you for the super chat. Love you, Anna. And it sounds like the kills from the EU and reminded me of a shambling mound. Oh no. Well, thank you for the super chat. Oh, hello, Mary. Oh, is that? I was trying to highlight her chat. Hi, Mary.
Hey, Mary.
What's up, Mary? It's been a long time, I feel like. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so somebody sent me this because it was on my video, which, oh, by the way, I had for my thumbnail when I talk about this plant thing, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit? I got a notice from YouTube saying that they took down my my thumbnail. And I was like, I have so many thumbnails that have what the fuck in it, but it was, I guess, because of the emoji that was in it.
Ha!
I know. I was like, that's weird. So I had to switch it, but so now it's like all right. It gives away the twist in my my video. But Russell Hall, thank you for super chat. I caught a little of your unboxing stream yesterday. Sent you a shirt. Wondering if you got it. # Women of Pleasure. Yes, Russell Hall, I got it. I laughed my fucking ass off. Also, the post office were bitches. They made me pay $8 to get the package because they said, oh well, they're like, this is in a priority shipping bag and he didn't pay the priority shipping. I'm like, then why did you send it?
Why did you take it and send it? Exactly.
I know. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it was just like, if it's
like, that's on you guys. You accepted it in a priority shipping bag. You should have charged him the priority shipping price. If you didn't charge him the correct postage, that's not.
Well, and then I looked on it and I'm like, he has enough stamps on here to cover it. And it was just so stupid. And I'm just like, really? But so it was just a bitch. The post office were cunts, Russell Hall, but I absolutely loved the shirt. It was fantastic. I'm going to be wearing it on the Jack show. So thank you. I appreciate it. Let me get these other super chats. Joyful Cheese, thank you for the super chat. It's a poor man's flood from Halo. Such a shame they're focusing more on the Sith Empire.
It doesn't even sound half as cool as the Flood, though. Like, I would actually be almost excited if I found out they were straight ripping off the Flood to use as a Star Wars villain. Because, like, I don't know, I'd watch a one-off movie where Ewan McGregor plays Obi-Wan and he goes off to some random planet and the Flood is there and it's the movie is just Obi-Wan fucking wrecking the Flood with a lightsaber. I'd watch that movie. But, like, honestly, it would have been better if they had just stolen that instead. The Flood's way cooler than this is, and it looks scarier too. So, I can't wait. We're getting.
I have never played Halo, so I can't add to that.
He's never played through the first Halo campaign. Like, he's played the later ones, he knows the Flood and all that stuff, but he's never played through the first campaign. So I'm so stoked for him to play through the introduction of the Flood. Maybe one day I will. I know it's not your kind of game, but maybe I want to at least show you that like scene where it happens. It's pretty badass.
Revenge of the Nether Realm. Thank you for the super chat. Of course, there's a flamethrowers and blowtorches. Remember Jango Fett?
Yeah.
One of the greatest bounty hunters in the galaxy who is a Mandalorian. Yeah, I remember. They don't. That's the problem. A fucking Mandalorian can just, get on their jetpack, and just light them all on fire. Just fly around, next to them and light them all on fire. Just get a bunch of fucking alcohol and pour it on them. Alcohol does exist in Star Wars. Or get fucking. Why am I blanking on what when you're barbecuing? What's it called?
Skewer. Or no, like a skewer, right? No, you're trying to think of.
No, like you spray it on the barbecue so that way it makes the coals light faster.
Lighter fluid.
Yes, there you go. How the fuck did I forget that? Get lighter fluid and then just throw a match on them. There you fucking go. And again, your heroes have fucking lightsabers.
We have established that ships run on fuel repeatedly, so you can dump gasoline on them or whatever. I'm sure Star Wars space fuel is ignitable like all fuel always fucking is.
Mm-hmm.
So
let me read this next one. Revenge of the Netherrealm, selling you for the stupid I think I read the flamethrower ones. I think that there's more. There we go. Russell Hall. Thank you for the super chat, dude. I got a message something was off. Not only did I pay, but I added extra stamps because I know how much UPS sucks. Anyways, this should cover it. No, don't even worry about it. I was more, it sucks because there's people at my post office that are assholes, and the one nice lady that's at my post office was the one that gave it to me, and I'm just like, I have no problem because you've sent me super chats in the past, and I'm like, it's $8, and I'm like, there's stamps on here. I'm like, that I told them exactly this. I'm like, if you want to, argue about the shipping and they didn't pay for X, I'm just like, then why did you send it?
Yeah, so
like, you want me to send it back? And I'm like, no, don't send it back. But why would you send it if you think that he didn't pay for this? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he paid.
I'll bet they were retarded about it. I'll bet they looked at the stamps and didn't even bother to look to see that the shipping was paid. And there's like, oh, he put stamps on it. It's not right. Like, no, you're just idiotic. But hey, people are stupid. We know that with incontrovertible proof. We know clearly without fail that people are stupid and will always invent new ways to be more stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb. Don't even worry about it, Russell. I was not bothered by it. I understand when it's like, oh, this shipping is like $50 to $100 and somebody didn't pay. That's a red flag. But then again, it's like, why would you send it? Like if I mail out my letters and I don't put a postage stamp on it, I understand when it comes back to the return address. But when you obviously... It's so stupid. Don't even worry about it. I just wanted to vent about that and let you know that they kind of fucked you over in that sense. So, I mean, I don't know. The priority shipping is so fucking weird because I've had that happen to me where I paid for it and I sent it because I was sending something to my mom. And then she got it and she told me the same exact thing. So she's like, well, I had to pay for it. And I sent her a picture of my receipt. And luckily she was at the post office when it happened. And like the post office person looked. And my mom was like so pissed because, it's always weird when you see like people scamming and you catch them in their lie. And, it was convenient that I had my phone on me at the time and I sent her the exact picture of the receipt. And she's like, no, look, my daughter paid for this. I'm not paying you double.
Guys,
and so they're pretty shady about stuff like that. I just felt bad that it was like the nice lady at my post office that I was dealing with this with. Because if it was the asshole dude that's like,
sorry, I just got excited because Matt M. I saw earlier in the chat, he said this is the first time he's caught me outside of like video mashups of reactions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that I remind him of Sam Kinison. And I want to cry now because I don't know if you know, I am a stand-up comedian as well. I don't know why you would know if you've only seen me in clips before. I do stand-up as well. So, being compared to a female version of one of the all-time greats who is like, that's very much, are you familiar with Sam Kinison?
No. Maybe if I saw her or him.
He screams. That was his thing. He used to be a reverend. He had all this weird anger and he just was this dude who just, he had this like primal, literally he would just go, ah! He had this like really primal yell. But he's so like frenetic and crazy, but just like that off the wall, unrestrained energy. But people responded to that, and I love that because I have that kind of energy sometimes, and sometimes it scares people. So to have somebody, feel that in what I would regard as a positive way, because I think Sam Kinison was baller. Unfortunately, yes, died in the 90s, died very young too. He was one too. I think it was like he got clean, but then died of a heart. It was like he had done a ton of drugs and stuff, and then he got clean and then died.
Was he the OxyClean guy?
No. He had his own he did comedy. He was on SNL a couple times doing bits. He actually did. So we didn't even know this because we were looking at some of his old stuff. SNL, I guess, at points would feature comedians in spots, like a little just stand-up spot. So we watched like a 5-minute stand-up slot he had done on SNL. No, he's transitioned at one point from being a reverend into wanting to do comedy, and just early on, he was working in Texas, got picked up. I can't remember whose show it was, but got picked up. Somebody saw him real quick, and he started touring with them and just took off like overnight. Very, very quickly, and then lived the whole like high flying rock and roll drugs life with the comedy. Think he got clean, but then unfortunately, I think he was maybe a car accident. He might have gotten hit. He got hit by was he the one who got hit by a drunk driver? Let me see. Let me just remind. I know it was sad because it's like he had gotten clean, but then he died. Sam, someone can probably actually.
Let me read the super chat then. Russell, thank you for the super chat. I got a message. Something was off. Not only did I pay, but I added extra stamps because I know how much the UPS sucks. Anyway, this should cover it. Glad you like the shirt. Nice whale tail, by the way. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. That's the reason why the stream is private, Jesse. I bent over, and I was in my chair. I wasn't expecting anything to happen, but I went to go grab a painting, and yeah. So the stream is private. You're never going to see it again if you didn't catch it live. Really embarrassed, really uncomfortable. Thanks for bringing it up. But thank you for the t-shirt, Russell Hall. Revenge of the Netherrealm, thank you for the super chat. Love the Halo reference from Jesse. Perfect take.
Thank you. And yeah, Sam Kinison, he got clean and sober, and then he was killed by a drunk driver. It was really sad.
That sucks so bad.
It really, because it's like, oh, you got on track and you were, and then boom. But no, it's just it's super cool, and it's a very flattering comparison. So thank you, Madam.
Joseph Citadino, thank you for the super chat. I think the indestructible part comes from the fact that they can grow more of themselves as long as there is one seed out there they can potentially return. It's not that Lucasfilm to be dumb.
If not,
it's not that. Well, see, but that's another thing. So light it on fire.
Yeah, because theoretically, the whole thing is this whole connected with the roots. What roots? These physical roots are invisible roots. The physical ones we've already gone over how dumb that is because they can never get that far apart. And if they're physical ones, if you light one on fire, you're gonna theoretically, you could easily, you have the whole thing. If you have one, you have all of it. You can just trace the root system and kill the whole thing. So that's the whole thing too. It's also, any one of these things, there's got to be there's going to be some way to cut it off at the source. That's any interconnected things. Almost always, even in plants and stuff like that, there's usually a source. There's usually one key root where if you sever like the main root source that's harnessed, that where they get whatever power and stuff, energy comes from, and if you cut that one off, the whole thing dies. So if you make it otherwise, all right, well now that you've rooted your creature in this weird, real world botanical science. Now, if you want to fuck with that, now you have to justify it, which is where Star Wars has gone wrong so much in the Disney era. It forgets that it's not sci-fi, and it starts trying to add all the science in, forgetting that when you start trying to be sci-fi, your science has to track. If you want science to be a core part of the logic of your universe, it has to track. That's why, The Last Jedi, and all of a sudden, we have this fuel. The whole conceit of the movie is a science fiction conceit. The fuel is going to run out, and the other spaceship will catch up to us in space. A science-based, driven conceit. Now, none of the other physical factors about how that broke down make any sense, right? You don't have to justify this creature with science. It's an interconnected creature. It's an interconnected organic life form. Great, done. Now, once you start trying to make it this plant thing rooted in again, earth-based botanicals, now you put yourself into the corner of having to justify all of your science. You have to make it make sense now. If you've never found it in reality, you're not beholden to the rules of reality. But you screw yourself over when you do this because you're never going to be able to write this in a way that makes sense.
Exactly. And that's one of the things. So Alan Dean Foster talked about that, about how he had to write the novelization. He's the author, by the way, Jesse, if you aren't aware, that Disney is not paying royalties to.
Oh, yeah.
He had to write the novelization of the The Force Awakens. And so he said on Midnight's Edge interview, he's like, he had to go and make it scientifically make sense and how Starkiller Base would work. And, you know, it's when you actually get people that care and like try to do that kind of stuff is where you make this stuff work. But I guarantee you they're not going to justify it. They're just going to say, oh, this is a thing that exists here. You have to deal with it. And I'm just like, well, they've done this before. Remember, I don't know if you've watched it, but it was this horror movie called The Ruins. And it's where these people go to this like pyramid in the middle of like Mexico or something. And it's like this evil, it's a random pyramid in the middle of the jungle and there's sand all around it. And so if you go there and you touch the plant, like you're basically going to die, and the people won't let you leave the little past the sand circle because that the spores will get over everywhere and take over the world. They don't explain it, but I mean, it's a horror movie and it's like just them getting eaten alive by plants. I'm like, this has been done before. You guys aren't the first person to do this, but the way that they're pitching it is like, this has never been seen before in the Star Wars universe. But then if you actually go and look in the Star Wars universe, there are plant-based life forms that exist.
That whole concept you described there with the spores and that's the flood from Halo. It's very similar to how the flood is from Halo. And it's like that it just spreads like it's so they start out as these little poppable spores, but then they'll take over a person. They kind of turn into a weird plant zombie person. So they take multiple different forms as they, get new hosts and stuff. But it's that kind of idea. That's why I think so. The person earlier said this reminded them of a poor man's flood because it's it's the base concept of an organic based, a more plant-based alien life form. Like a plant-based sentient alien life form or a fungal-based sentient. But the thing is, that's not even new in that regard. Like in horror too, in video games, you also have which is the one? There's one of them, which is the zombie apocalypse game where it's a fungal-based. It might even be The Last of Us, where the original Last of Us, the outbreak is based on a fungal-based infection. So the only thing is like this is always this is been done so many times across horror and science fiction, like ad nauseum. Not only is this not new, it's old. It's been there, done that. Literally, again, like someone said, this was copied from D&D.
Really? I've never played D&D. My friends have played it, but they were always older than me, so I could never play because I was the kid.
So I've never played it. Sorry.
And also, yes, guys, I know Little Shop of Horrors. It's one thing if you are going to take, like, obviously plant life. Oh, Tulip, what do you want? I don't have nothing, but sorry. The dog demanded immediate attention.
I noticed apparently I've been relegated to just a guest on this show.
I know, right? Well, new people are joining my channel every day. So Jessie is my co-host. Next week we will be on her channel. 1 second though, can you hold down the fort? I got to take care of something.
Yeah, you guys got it. And this was the perfect comment for me. The real question is, what happens if we smoke it? Jedi Bunny, I don't know, but you want to find out together? Anywho, so see, Laura Mipson, this is actually one of the first interesting and thought-provoking things you said. They are just attempting to create an enemy that has non-humanoid values. They're trying to explore different types of evil. Now that on its surface is a really interesting concept that is definitely worth exploring and totally cool. But you cannot see these things in a vacuum, right? You can't see them outside of their context. And what you've seen is the increasing challenges with creating villains in this current climate. Just space party. We're going to go to space together. It's going to be the best. So you're seeing these increasing challenges with creating villains that people respond to because we've created a world in which it is problematic to have any villain that isn't a white male. But even the mainstream, even some of the SJW people are starting to get a little sick of and honestly, it's to the point too where you're getting to the point where you can't cast a white male in a leading role, period. So you can't have any villains who are any kind of minority status because, well, that's somehow disparaging to them because apparently minorities aren't real people and don't live real lives and don't have nuances like being good and bad. But you also can't have white male villains because that means casting a white male lead and probably finding other reasons to say that they remind you of a gay person and are therefore problematic.
Also, Jesse, did you know that nobody was aware of Black history before civil rights?
I heard that. That until like a few years ago, nobody knew anything about Black history in this country at all. Like not a single.
Even though it's like, that's funny because obviously, I don't know what rock you're living under, and I'm trying to find this, guys, because that is something that a Star Wars writer said, and I got into this huge debate with somebody about this. I'm going to share this clip because it's a great thing about, villains and stuff. So let me get this pulled up. We're going to talk about this. I know that Drunk is streaming, guys. If you guys want to go over there, Drunk 3PO, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, and Star Wars Theory on his channel. Totally understand. Me and Jesse do this show every week, as always. So I want to end this kind of early, so we might end it at the 1 hour mark and send everyone over there just so we don't interlap. But this is a weekly thing that me and Jesse do. But I wanted to show you guys this because this is one of the writers for Star Wars. I'm going to have to mute myself, but so we're going to watch this. This is a writer from Star Wars.
History. Was that your sort of intent to rewrite history in this novel?
Oh, most definitely. Like, I don't think people realize that Black people existed except for like civil rights and slavery, right? If you look to fiction, Black people have been erased in a lot of like meaningful ways. Yeah. I do believe that fiction has that power because then people start to ask the question, why didn't I know about this? Why didn't nobody tell me about this? Because no one seems to understand that like the history you get taught in school is a very calculated history. It is the history of the people that someone at some point in time thought were important. No one cared about Alexander Hamilton until there was a Broadway play about him. And they're like, oh yeah, the founding father.
Alexander Hamilton was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about
history. Was that your sort of intent to rewrite history in this novel?
Oh, most definitely. Self-aggrandizing, womanizing bastard. Like, that's the thing I was laughing at. Somebody my fucking friend made me fucking go through the entire Hamilton soundtrack because she was like, you got to experience it at least once. And I said, fine. Because my thing is, if I'm going to hate something, as much as I hated Hamilton from hearing all the fucking songs over and over again everywhere, if I'm going to hate something this much, at some point I will have to consume enough of it to formulate a real opinion. So I went with my friend through the Hamilton soundtrack from start to finish. And it's one of those musicals that sings the entire fucking story. So if you go through the soundtrack, you get the entire picture minus the dancing and whatever shit they're doing on stage. This is the story of just a dude, like, that is a really well-known, well-told story, which, by the way, Alexander Hamilton didn't do jack shit for civil rights. Like, he didn't have anything to do with, like, the advancement.
No, it's what, Emmanuel, or what, I don't know how to say his name. But honestly, I don't want to get into Hamilton because I fucking hate the music. I hate rap music. But you know what bothers me? What bothers me the most, Jesse, is I knew about Alexander Hamilton because I paid attention in history class. I knew exactly who he was. I knew how he died. I knew the story. And I thought, his life, yeah, he did bad things. I think he did good things, but he also did bad things. And there's a difference between what you do professionally and what you do in your personal life. But it always stuck with me. It was that, his son died and that he died the same place that his son died. And that was how I remembered him. And that's the guy that's on the $10 bill. I knew all of that over a decade before Hamilton the musical came out. So did everyone else. But
my only reaction when I found out Hamilton the musical was a thing was, why did they make a musical about that guy Aaron Burr shot? Like, straight up, that was my reaction. I would have been more interested in Aaron Burr the musical. He was a more interesting historical figure to me.
Well, my biggest question to that, because that was the author that doesn't read more than 50 pages of a novel. And it seems to me that she must be very sheltered. And I want to know what school she went to, because I think the main problem right there is what school did you go to where they did not teach?
She told you exactly what the problem is, that she only reads 50 pages of a novel. So
I know, but she obviously didn't pay attention in school, because it's like A.K. Rex even said it. Remember Lucy, the oldest known like human, where was she from? Oh yeah, that's right, Africa. Why is her name Lucy? Because they were listening to the Beatles. It's like, okay, go. Where is Egypt? Oh yeah, that's right, it's in Africa. Yeah. What about all of African history? You aren't aware of that? I got taught that when I was a child. Okay, I'm from Portugal. My family is from Portugal. Guess what? A majority of the castles in Portugal, who built them? The Moors. Who are the Moors? Oh yeah, they were the invaders from Africa that took over that part of Europe and took over all of northern Africa. The Africans had a huge fucking empire. You want to really tell, like, you can do from, obviously from the Portuguese perspective, from the Spanish perspective, from the French perspective, the Moors were, the villains.
Exactly.
Because they were invaders that came from, the shores of Africa and invaded Europe. So and if you want to do it from the African perspective, you want to show a story from the Moorish perspective, show them taking over fucking Europe. They have this great, vast empire. Guess what? I knew all about that since I was a fucking child.
It's not, here's the thing that cracks me up though. It's like, take her two statements that she never reads more than 50 pages of a novel and that she bitches that, Black people have been erased from literature. If you only read the first 50 pages, how do you know? Maybe all the Black people just show up after the first 50 pages. Maybe you're like, well, this book sucks. And it turns out 50 pages in, like 12 different Black characters who are super cool get introduced. And you never fucking knew because you quit at 50 pages because you're fucking stupid.
Now, also, you and I kind of got into this. I kind of want to vent to everyone. So I got into it. This person said that she's right. So I have to show you. Guys, I was losing brain cells talking to this person. I saw that they followed me. So I was like, okay, maybe this person's being nice. This is actually why I don't really interact too much with people that I don't know on social media, because this shit happens. So it says, well, she's right. And she's not talking about Star Wars. She's talking about, they spelled fiction wrong. He spelled friction instead of fiction altogether. How many people knew about Race Massacre before Watchmen? That's where we're at. How many people knew about the race massacre in Tulsa before Watchmen? Now, I thought at first I've never read Watchmen. I watched the movie Watchmen and I absolutely hated it. I have no interest in Watchmen. I hated the movie, never read it, never watched the TV show. But guess what? I knew about the race massacre in Tulsa because guess what? I was taught about it when I was in elementary school. So here we go. I said, literally everyone that paid attention in history class or was alive through it or was told about it by their parents, grandparents, etc. Not everyone in the world has read or watched Watchmen, And then this person says, not true, because a lot of people didn't know about it until Watchmen. A lot more people didn't believe it was real. It never mentioned of the American history I had in school. And I said, 100% true. I've never read Watchmen, and I learned about it when I was a kid. So did every other kid at my school. You should really speak for yourself before making declarations about everyone. I know you're a nice person, but please escape the echo chamber you're living in and actually talk to people. You would gain a lot more knowledge. Like, what the fuck am I doing? And sorry, I have to go through this because I want to vent about this. How exactly am I living in an echo chamber? Because I was taught something in school and didn't learn about it from a TV show. I do also talk to many people which are extremely different from me and backgrounds and culture. So again, how am I living in an echo chamber? Yeah, you spent most time bad mouthing anyone with different views than the ones you were trying. Yeah, you spent most time bad mouthing anyone with different views, even the ones you're trying to understand. So he had insulted me. He called me Anita Sarkeesian in a different thread, which I will read after this. But I said, funny how standing up for yourself in your mind equals bad mouthing, when ironically all I've done here is try to have a civil conversation with you in which you have insulted me multiple times because you disagree. Yet according to you, I'm the one that bad mouths people. Ironic, isn't it? And he said, whatever you say, little Sarkeesian, because you came at me insulting my intellect. This is a dude that said nobody knew about the Tulsa Massacre before Watchmen that came out in 2019, guys. No one knew about Tulsa Massacre before 2019. Think about that. Told me to stop lecturing, and then when I tried to make peace by trying to help you understand how I felt, you threw it back in my face, which is not what happened. Let me go back here because there's multiple threads with this dumbass. But he said, I'm not talking about the comic book. I'm talking about the TV shows. Do your research before you open your mouth. And it's like, dude, you're saying that nobody knew about the Tulsa Massacre Watchmen 2019. At least if you're talking about the comic book that came out decades ago, that's a little bit more justifiable and doesn't make you look, not as stupid. But then I said, like I said, I learned about it in school. So my point still stands regardless of which version of Watchmen you're referring to. Because he said that nobody knew about this before Watchmen. It's like, I learned about it in elementary school, bro. elementary school. And I said, also, let me get this straight. You're saying you didn't know about that until the show came out on 2019. You really have no room to lecture anyone. And he said, let me make myself perfectly clear. I learned about history and my culture from family who talked about it and gave books about it because they knew my school wouldn't teach me. Most people didn't get that experience. Stop. Everyone is like you. This guy can't type either. So this just showed his level of intelligence right there. And I said, that's great your family did that. Mine did the same. I'm sorry to hear your school didn't teach you about certain things, but that's no excuse to make accusations against everyone that no one knew about X until Watchmen, when others clearly did. Not everyone is like you. He said, I think it's really messed up. You don't see the importance of representation of an history event on media. Yes, you and I had the privilege of having school and family who taught us, but some people didn't. First time they heard about it is through media. That's important. It's like, yes, obviously there's newspaper articles, but you're saying that, like, he's putting words in my mouth. I'm sorry I'm venting about this, but it was so, usually I quote tweet these kind of things to show, like, look at this fucking idiot that's arguing with me. But, like, I was trying to be nice and talk to this person because I thought he was saying, oh, yeah, I didn't know about this until I read Watchmen, decades ago. But no, he's saying he didn't know about the Tulsa Massacre until 2019.
Ryan Bush says, if no one knew about it until Watchmen, then who wrote it into the script?
I know. I was like, how? But then he's saying that this is what I said. He's saying, I think it's really messed up. You don't see the importance of representation of an history event on media. And it's like, I never said that. You said that people didn't know about this until Watchmen. And I said that I learned about it in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, it gets worse. It gets worse. I never said that don't put words in my mouth. This convo started with your claim that people didn't know about certain historical events until Watchmen, then slowly devolved into insulting me, making accusations against me that are not true because I pointed out you were wrong. And I missed one of the things where he told me to shut up and he called me stupid and whatnot. And he said, oh, you cannot even meet me in the middle. You're a child trying to win a debate. I feel stupid for falling into your bait post. You're like Anita Sarkeesian of Star Wars. And then I said, once again, you have resulted to insult simply because you don't like what I have to say. Yet I'm the child. My post was genuine. It's clear now yours response was not. You're clearly a troll. I fell for it bad on me. And he said, I still think you're a good person and wish nothing but the best for you and your family. Have a blessed year. It's like, you've insulted me multiple times, you fucking jackass.
People, you're stupid. You're a moron. You don't know anything. I clearly know more than you. Oh, have a blessed day. Fuck you. Fall in a hole and die.
Well, I'm trying. I missed the tweet where he did straight up insult me. I got screenshots of it. I think I'll have to go through. It was a busy thread, but it's like then he started calling Jesse Anita. But I just wanted to vent to everyone about that because it's like
just heads up,
people that believe this woman, like the woman that doesn't read more than 50 pages of a book, and then they say nobody knew about this until Watchmen, and it's like, well, I learned about it in school, and so did everyone that was in my school because that was the curriculum.
The whole thing I point out to him, it's like your argument. You're trying to tell Anna you need to get out in the world and learn more things because then you'd realize that nobody knew about the Tulsa race massacres until before. So so what you're saying is that if Anna just were to just get out into the world and talk to more people, what she would learn is that it turns out she had misremembered. She had imagined learning about the Tulsa race massacres as a child. She had imagined her teacher teaching that. She had imagined her friends who learned about it with her. She imagined all that and actually didn't learn about it until later on because of Watchmen. Like, that's what he's asking her to consider. So it's like when you bring
it just doesn't make sense to me. And even with this woman, it's like, oh, Black people didn't exist before civil rights. And it's like, no, I'm sorry to break everyone's bubble, but America is not the center of the universe. There are Black people in every other country in the world, and not everything revolves around American politics and the American civil rights movements. Not every country had, obviously we all know what happened. There was slavery in America. There's been slavery in almost every country in the world of every different race. The problem with America was that it was only, African Americans that were slaves. It wasn't, you know, other races. But if you go, look at the Romans, Romans didn't care. If they took over your village, they're a slave. They're a slave. They don't care what color your skin is. Everyone was a slave. And that's been that way throughout almost every single empire to ever exist in, you know, history. And these people just don't know their history. To say that people didn't, and it's like, no, maybe you didn't know about history before civil rights, but that the biggest problem that I see right there is that, well, one, did your school teach it, or were you not paying attention in school right there?
You know how ignorant these people are? These people are so ignorant that when you tell them that, you know, the Europeans in medieval Europe owned slaves, the Egyptians owned slaves, blah, they assume that all of these slaves are African slaves. They assume that. I've heard people who believe that, are like, oh yeah, but the Romans had slaves too. So it goes back to the Roman. I'm like, the Roman slaves weren't black. Like, yeah, some of them were, but most of them weren't.
Most of them were just the people that they took over. You know?
The majority, like, it was very popular for them. It really depended. The genetic makeup of the slaves of Rome heavily depended on which area of the globe Rome was presently conquering. When they conquered Greece, they took a bunch of Grecian slaves. A lot of them became tutors for the children of Rome. When they conquered, they got French slaves. When they went to Northern Africa, yes, they conquered African slaves as well. But that just was because of the color of the skin of the people they were conquering.
Yes, Spike and Manus, yes, there were indentured servants, but that's different than slavery, because indentured servants had to stay there for a certain amount of time without pay, but then they earned their freedom, and that was more like of a debt type of thing. And I remember getting taught that in history and getting taught the difference about that. But we all know the history of that. But just to make these accusations, and then this a little bit after this is when we get to learn about the oh, there he is, Justina talking about it. And oh my God, like I lose brain cells. And she talks about the bad guys, or the pirates, and she like laughs about how Pirates of the Caribbean ruined pirates because they made pirates nice. And it's like, what? Well, okay, there's a difference when you're talking about a show that is from the, like, depending on who where is this section where she talks about it?
Twilight ruined vampires because it made vampires nice.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, okay. I think that she doesn't understand that there's a difference between a villain, a protagonist, and an antagonist, when the story is usually told from the point of view of the protagonist. So if the protagonist is X and you're following their story, it's like, okay, Scarface. Obviously, he is not the most outstanding person in history, but the story, it's obviously from, you know, Al Pacino's character's point of view, which is Scarface. So he is the protagonist of the story, even though he's basically a villain.
Not nice. He ain't all that nice. Like, Will Turner is the nice guy, but he's not really a pirate, even though there's the whole like, I'm a pirate thing with him. He's really not a pirate. Captain Jack Sparrow is a pirate. He's not nice. He's kind of a bastard the entire time. Ocean's 11, the movie about criminals. They win in the end. They're still criminals. They still broke the fucking law. What do you want?
Exactly. So, but that's the big difference. It's like your protagonist, because it's the way that you're following the story, it's them trying to achieve their goals, but they can also be the villain. And so when you're watching a movie like Scarface or The Godfather, they're the villains of that story, but guess what? They're the protagonists. So the police, or, you know, I haven't watched Scarface in like, I don't know, over 20 years. So I don't really remember it that well because I was a little kid when I watched it. But is it like the police, or is it another faction? Like I have almost zero memories of this movie.
I've actually never seen Scarface.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, then we can talk about The Godfather. Okay, so the police and the law are the good guys, or, you know, the good guys in that universe, because, you know, the family, Al Pacino, again, is breaking the law. Their mob is breaking the law. But guess what? They're the protagonists, and the police are the antagonists, even though it's being told from the point of view of the villains based on, you know, the way that things work in the world.
Ryan Bush is on fire today because he's another great example. Like Thanos is the protagonist of Infinity War. I always say that. Thanos is the protagonist of Infinity War. His story is told the best and most consistently throughout that movie, but he's the villain of the entire fucking franchise. And one movie being the protagonist doesn't suddenly make us go, oh, I guess Thanos is a nice guy now that I know more about him.
Well, that's actually, I think, why I liked Infinity War is because and I think they did a really good job with it, is that the movie isn't about Iron Man, it's not about Cap, it's about Thanos.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed it. And I'm like, I like this. I wasn't expecting that. I thought Thanos was just going to be that typical bad guy that shows up at random scenes and does the fight like he did in Endgame. But no, it's like that movie was showing us everything about Thanos, and that was Thanos' movie, which is why I really liked Infinity War. And, Endgame was shit. But
Christopher Driscoll makes a great point. Nobody knew the mob was bad until Scarface. Nobody in history had any idea that the mob were bad guys until thank God for movies like Scarface to teach us that the mob is bad. Because if we didn't have Hollywood movies to teach us right from wrong, we'd never realize ourselves.
Well, then also like this whole thing with, black characters didn't exist in, like, she's like, black characters don't exist in science fiction. It's like, well, that's not true at all. And again, she obviously hasn't read very much science fiction. Heck, even when I was a kid, let me see if I can. Oh yeah, okay, let me get it. Okay, so this is the last book in the Pendragon series. This is a big ass book. I have been reading these books since I was a little kid. Guess what? One of the main this book revolves around. No, this is the last one.
I don't think I ever finished the series. I might have to.
I got a little bit into this, and then my friend told me the ending. She's like, don't read it, it's going to ruin your life. And I'm like, okay. So I haven't finished it because somebody spoiled it for me, and I know what happened, so I don't want it to be ruined. But so basically in Pendragon, for those that haven't read it, it's that there's different worlds, and there's doorways to different worlds, but only people called the travelers can go through these doorways. And so there's a traveler from every planet or every world. And so it's about the kid's name. His name is Robert Pendragon, but it's, Bobby, because that's what people call people. So Bobby Pendragon is able to go through these doors. But so one of the things the travelers have to do is they have to have like companions. And so they write about their adventures, and then they send the messages or like the little journals through the doorways to their companions. And so that's how you find out about his adventures, is that his companions get his journals. And so guess what? One of the travelers that is in the very first book is a black woman. Well, she's a teenager. So she's a black teenager, and her mother is black. And she's a badass, and Bobby is a little wimp because he gets thrown into it because it's his story, and the first time when he finds out that he's a traveler because he lived a normal life until he found out. And she's the one that has to show him how to fight. Her mother, this book has been out for over a decade. Her mother gets killed defending Bobby and defending her. And so they have to go by themselves and fight this big bad. And they're both teenagers, and it's a white boy, white teenager getting taught by a black girl how to be badass and how to survive. And she teaches him all about what it's like to be a traveler and who the bad guy is, the main villain of this series, who you can see right here. So it's like, that's funny that black characters didn't exist, even though one of the most badass characters in science fiction that I have read is a black woman.
I remember that. I remember reading those books. I read a bunch of them. Never finished the series though, but she was such a bad, you loved her too. Like you rooted for her so hard. Cause wait, was it her mother that died or his mother?
Her. So what happened? Bobby had a mother and father. So basically everything that your life. So the traveler, when the travelers get too old, then a new traveler is born. So Bobby's parents didn't exist. So it wasn't really her mother, but the older traveler raised her.
Yeah. But I remember being devastated when she died though, and being like you were so.
It hits you. It's like, oh shit.
It was. I think I cried even. Like that might have been one of the first times I ever cried reading a book. Because I remember that. Like I had forgotten about those books almost completely. You pulled one out, and then you started. The second you said Bobby Pendragon and started talking about the chick, I was like, oh my god, this is all coming back to me. This series is
Well,
amazing.
even in the second book, where they're on the Waterworld type planet, and the traveler from that planet, his father was the traveler as well, but that's one of the things. There can only be one traveler at a time, and when the next traveler comes of age, the older traveler is fated to die.
Is this the book with Bo Spader in it? Was he one of the traveler guys, or is that a different book series? I'm trying to remember.
Describe him.
Vaguely Asian looking, and he becomes like one of their sort of buddies. Like he's a buddy, maybe just for one of the books, but he's like kind of like cool kind of dude. Vaguely, they always describe him with like almond shaped eyes and black hair.
Yes, almond shaped eyes and black hair.
I love that character. I couldn't remember what book series he was from. I was like, I know there's a character named Bo Spader, and I fucking love him. And this is how they describe him. And he's in this book series, and I can't remember what it was. That's what he's from. I gotta go back and read these now because I fucking loved him.
I was so pissed because I didn't know I was gonna get spoiled because that book came out when I was in high school, and my friend, I'm a slow reader because I'm severely dyslexic, and she's like, oh yeah, I read that like last week, and she's like, oh yeah, this is what happens, and I was like, no, that can't be what happens. Don't. And then I went and I did a little bit more research, and I was like, oh my god, that's what happens. That's so fucked up.
That's sad.
So I was told just don't finish the last book, so I haven't.
Now maybe I'll go back and read everything but the last one. But yeah, that was
okay. So yes, I know we get back to Star Wars. So basically, we just went on this tangent because there's no black characters existed before Star Wars. Oh my goodness!
Got evidence of these, and again, like I remembered and loved an Asian character. This character was written as an Asian character, like pointedly, like they pointedly describe him as an Asian-looking character. And I thought he was badass and cool. And I picked that up eventually. I was like, it occurred to me because it was somewhere around there. I was like, I didn't know what that meant as a kid, and then I saw it somewhere else. Almond eyes, to use to describe someone Asian and whatnot, like in like more less fictional literature. And I realized, oh, that's how they were conveying to you. And I thought it was so cool. It's like with a character from another world, another thing, they're describing him to you to give you the idea of an ethnically diverse character without being like he's Asian looking, because it doesn't mean anything in this universe. I'm like, that was, again, you didn't need to tell people how to do diversity. They thought, okay, I'm going to create an alien world, different kinds of characters, or different kinds of world, different kinds of people. Well, let me just pick a different kind of person and describe this guy a little like that kind of person.
Well, also, I loved, and again, another one of the travelers. So in this universe, there's 3 Earths. There's First Earth, Second Earth, and Third Earth. Bobby is from Second Earth. The traveler from First Earth is a black man. And it's like, you guys want to complain about diversity? It's like, well, you haven't read any fucking books.
And here's the thing, too. Then we want to say, well, but why did the main character? Well, I don't know. Probably because a white person wrote it. And a lot of people write very autobiographically. That's where it becomes never enough for people. Well, you didn't make it the main character. Well, then you go write the fucking story where it's the main character. Because the thing is, if I go now, because then what you get into, okay, well, the white person then writes the main character's life. Well, it shouldn't be a white writer. It should be a black writer. So now what you're telling
me. Then it's like, oh, we've never had a black superhero.
Well, so then
Spawn. Do you not know who Spawn is?
Well, here's the problem.
Black Panther's the first black superhero. I'm like, the Spawn movie came out in the 90s, right?
Here's the real problem is that if I accept both of these things as true, that we need more main characters, all of our main characters to be diverse and non-white because we've had enough white main characters. So all of our characters need to be non-white. But we need to have only non-white writers writing non-white characters. So what you're telling me is that white people are not allowed to write movies anymore. That's the logic. That's where following that train of logic, that's where it takes you. It takes you to white people aren't allowed to make movies anymore. And if that's not what you're saying, then you need to go back and fix what you are saying, because that's where your logic takes us. And if that's what you are saying, well, you just admitted that you're a bigot and I have nothing left to say to you. That's where I land on that shit.
The people that complain about this thing, it just comes from a place of ignorance, because when you're complaining about something, but then it's like, well, and it is completely understandable to be ignorant about things. I mean, children are very ignorant about certain things in life, and they complain, well, why can't I do that? Why is this bad for me? What about this? What about that? And then when you become an adult and you learn these things and you're no longer ignorant of these things, it's like, oh, I understand. And then that's why the thing that parents say, you're going to thank me when you're older. And then it's like, oh, when you're older and you finally understand, it's like, oh yeah, Mom, you were right. Oh yeah, Dad, you were right. Oh yeah, Jedi Bunny, right? Yeah, Spawn, Blade, Morpheus, I know.
Morpheus is the badass. I love Morpheus.
Morpheus is a black man teaching a white guy. Morpheus, the black man, teaching everyone
the black male leader of the entire free world. I mean, literally the leader of the free world in this movie is the black dude. Take it back.
Well, to be fair, they did want Sean Connery to be Morpheus, and he said no, which I think actually worked out very good.
But here's the cool thing, though. What that tells you is when people were casting The Matrix, you had that perfect world that everyone's saying we want in Hollywood so bad. What that tells you is that we had that perfect world. And you even had that. Beverly Hills Cop is another example. If you even go back to that, Beverly Hills Cop was supposed to be, I forget who the white actor was they wanted to play, Axel Foley, but he was supposed to be a white guy, and the woman in the movie was supposed to be his love interest. The reason they don't lean into love interest or have a kissing scene is because they went with Eddie Murphy. Why? Because he was a super popular name that they knew they could sell.
Eddie Murphy was like the biggest actor. He was the name in Hollywood in his heyday.
They didn't look at this movie, or they didn't look at The Matrix when they couldn't get Sean Connery and go, well, I guess we should just race swap this character to appeal to the political actors. No,
they found the next best actor. Oh yeah, and Jedi Bunny, right? The Oracle. Yes, this is when you actually cast people based on their talent and their merit, not based on the color of their skin. I guarantee you, they didn't say, "Oh, we need to cast this person because they're black." They said, "No, we need." And one of my friends, we were actually talking about this. He was okay, so. I have friends that are, a gay couple, and he was kind of venting about how he's just like, this movie is too gay for even me. And, because they were talking about prom, and he's like, this movie is stupid. And then he brought up to me, he's like, oh yeah, they were getting mad because the one, chubby British dude isn't gay, but he's playing a gay character. And he's like, well, that's stupid because you got Meryl Streep and you have this other name. And he's like, they wanted a name, and this guy was an actor, and people are losing their mind because he's not gay. And he's just like, he said, he's like, if there's a movie and, they need a gay person and, they're going to be A-list actors. He's like, they're not going to cast me because I'm a gay man. They're not going to cast Peaches because he's a man. He's like, they're going to cast you, Anna, because you have the biggest following.
Right.
Anyway, we were just laughing about it. We're like, yeah, but people are too stupid. They complain about everything.
It's so, and then to The Matrix, though, another point that probably something you haven't even considered, because I know you hate religion and stuff. There is a lot of religious imagery in The Matrix. But here's the thing, though, and they don't hide it. They call her Trinity, right? Who's the Trinity, though, right? Everyone talks about Neo, the one. He's the Christ-like character. So Morpheus is the Father, and the Oracle is the Holy Ghost. So your trifecta of whatever makes up God, one is a black woman, one is a black man, and then the other's a white dude. So the people making the Matrix is a world in which your God, your literal God, is represented in black characters and a black female character. So, I mean, but no, black people have never been represented and don't have any power.
Well, I mean, and it's like just when everyone's like, oh, Cleopatra needs to be black. And I'm like, she was in Xena. But guess what? Cleopatra's actually not black. Cleopatra was like Greek, And it's like, go watch Xena. The first love interest that they introduce in Xena is a black man. There are strong black women, black men in Xena. And in Hercules, too. Heck, in any TV show before they started going woke. And all of these people are complaining about things, but it's like, well, you've never seen TV shows. You've never watched movies. You've never read books. If you're really going to complain about that.
Damn straight. Dr. Coffin-Nails, I misspoke. Anna, I didn't mean to say Anna hates religion. I mean, Anna hates talking about religion on her channel. So I wanted to.
Yeah, it's because it causes, I don't, like, yeah. Sorry.
I was pre-apologizing because I know you hate bringing it up, but it was just such a.
Well, no, I don't like talking about religion and politics, and like, I try to keep it like work. Like at work, that's you don't bring up, what everyone's salary is. You don't talk about politics and you don't talk about religion because it's different when it's like, okay, we're going to talk about Greek history. Okay, obviously the Greek religion's going to come up. If we're going to talk about angels and demons and, the Da Vinci Code of Tom Hanks, obviously religion is going to come up. But
I just appreciate about you, Anna, that you so walk the walk that we all say, and you do it, I think, more than anyone else in the community. When we talk about like, my personal opinions, my personal ideologies, my personal life, if it doesn't impact my channel and it doesn't matter. That's what we say we want from our celebrities and from the people that we're looking for. We're saying, have your opinions, have your life, have your ideas. If it doesn't affect what you create and your product, I don't need to know about it, and it shouldn't be a huge part of it. You do the best job of anybody of really embodying that. This is my personal life. This is my personal shit. You don't need to know about that because it's nothing to do with what I'm presenting you. And I think
Exactly.
it's the right way to do it. It really is. I
Well,
mean, to
I
me,
think it's because that's my biggest pet peeve is when people are preaching to me, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, I have kind of a better idea about your political beliefs, but I don't know who you voted for. I don't know what you believe. Well, I know I didn't even know you were Jewish until I was leaving your apartment and I saw there was a menorah and I asked, I said, I didn't know you were Jewish. And you're like, oh yeah, that stuff doesn't matter because we're talking about Star Wars. But when they start, like all of a sudden, if, okay, how to fit. If all of a sudden you're watching a Star Wars movie and then all of a sudden there's like a Catholic priest and it's like,
let me put it this way. If somebody wanted to start talking to me about Jewish imagery in Star Wars or another movie that I really, really liked and didn't think it was a part of or intended to be a part of, I would just shut them down. I'd be like, no, it's not there. It's not part of the message. That's not what Judaism is or how it gets expressed in film or any of that. No, stop talking. And also, it doesn't belong here. Also, even if it's done well or right, if it's heavy-handed or ham-fisted or it doesn't belong, I'm going to call it. If Judaism shows up overtly in Star Wars, I'm going to fucking call it out. I love it. I think it's great when it's represented well in the media and it's fun and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to have in the world. Does it belong in Star Wars? Hell no. If a Star of David shows up in any form in Star Wars, you better believe it would have something to say about it.
Unless the only reason that would be okay is if they showed, because it says in a galaxy far, far away.
Right. If it was a nod, like, an artifact from a faraway galaxy.
Well, so the only way that would work is if they finally decided to bridge the gap, which I think that they kind of did, because this is what happens when Steven Spielberg and George Lucas are best friends. They went to college together, is when E.T. is, going and trick-or-treating and he sees Yoda and he recognizes Yoda and, Elliot's got to stop him from going to this little kid dressed up like Yoda, but E.T. knows him. And then in the prequels, you see the E.T. aliens in Coruscant at, the Senate. And so that makes you to believe that Star Wars is in the same universe. Even in Indiana Jones, and you see, the hieroglyphs of R2D2 and C3PO. So, and it says galaxy far, far away. So if they did decide to somehow bridge that or something, that they could tie that in, because obviously this rarely ever happens, but when you have two directors that went to college together that are best friends, they could make that happen. So there is a way to make that work, but you would have to explain it. Now, if randomly a lightsaber showed up in, I don't know, the sequel to Schindler's List, it's going to be like, what the fuck? Well, but even then it'd be like, marketing in the real world.
Oh my God. Somebody needs to fucking do a retarded deep fake of the scene at the end, but where he pulls out a lightsaber and he's like, this, 1,000 more. He's gonna say 1,000 more if he just had a fucking lightsaber.
Okay, let me address this, Scott. I have no idea what's going on with that. You've added me a bunch of times, and I have no idea.
I am learning about that.
Because Lucasfilm, they put out like that. They needed a social media manager. I haven't followed up on it since. So as of right now, I have no idea. So I apologize. But High Republic, yeah, it sucks. Basically, that's the gist of it. High Republic sucks.
It does. Did we get more? I thought we have more super chats, right?
We did. Yeah, let me read some. Sorry, we got into the flow of conversation.
There's one I wanted to respond to. That's all.
Okay. Let me update it real fast. I apologize. Where was I? Okay, Bilbo. Zach Z, thank you for the super chat. So are these Sith plants what they use to make death sticks? That's a very good point. What if that's the ending of the High Republic? Because that's how they. But you know what's funny? Oh my God, where is it? I was just at my mom's and she's like, "You need to take all this shit home, Anna." And I was like, "Fine." So I collect action figures. These were up on my wall. So I always tried to get all of the girl action figures because it's very easy to find male action figures. But whenever I was a kid, the second I saw a female action figure, because I was weird. I had to have things in pairs because I have super OCD. And so I had to have the same amount. So it didn't matter if I had like multiple Padmes. I'm like, there has to be the same number of girls as boys, which has calmed down a lot more since I was a child. But when I was a child, it was crazy. And so I had her. And guess what? I have the Death Stick guy because yes, back when we were kids, They made action figures of every Star Wars characters, and the guy that sold Death Sticks to Obi-Wan, tried to sell Death Sticks, they made an action figure of. This was on my wall. Look at the dust. It's been on my wall for years. Death Sticks. And his name is
Elon
it's either L-An or
Elon Sleazebagano. Jeff knows his name.
Yeah. That's how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Jeff just knows his name.
Sleazebagano. Yeah, it is Sleazebagano.
Sleazebag? How do you not remember that?
Elon Sleazebagano.
Better than Ram Jammer.
Better than seriously. I will take. I will take.
You know what's funny? He actually doesn't have Death Sticks.
Over Ram Jammer. Oh God!
I would just. Everyone talks shit about the episode 2 Attack of the Clones. They had the best action figure line. They had the best packaging. The Phantom Menace had good action figures, but the Attack of the Clones had the best action figure line that Star Wars has made.
I will actually argue that Attack of the Clones had the best looking advertising stuff in general, from the logo down. And there was something very sleek about it that was like that. It was to me, it was like it. When I think of the prequel era, I think of like that visual for like what all the Attack of the Clones aesthetic is.
They were shooting to appeal to women. Remember when I had J.W. Rinsler on? Everything about that movie was to make it romantic. So if they do that across the board, I wonder if those types of just there's all kinds of theories and psychologies into how you design stuff to appeal to women. I wonder if that's one of those things where they apply those design principles just to the label of the packaging. Because I'm with Anna. That line, the legendary line or whatever it's called, because it goes more than just that one.
Well, they had action figures of every single character. It was like, and it wasn't just Attack of the Clones. They had action figures from minutes. They had it from the originals, and so it was the best line, I think. And honestly, the packaging was good. It stood out. It was that light blue, that shine, and the Jedi's all in gold. And then I was so disappointed by the Revenge of the Sith because you can see it. They're like boxes are rounded, and then it's hard to stack. It's hard to keep not from damaging. And then they only release certain action figures at certain times. I went to every time we went to Walmart and I went to every store that we went to, I went to go look at the toys because I wanted Padme. And Attack of the Clones came out with so many different versions of Padme in different outfits. This one only had her in the one outfit when Anakin strangles her, and she looks terrible, and she's barely pregnant, and it's like let's see if I can find it. It's the tiniest little fucking bump. But anyways, keep talking.
I'm going to read this. You can read it aloud again when we get to it. But I just thought it interesting. Helva said, I just wanted to say Jesse was right about Luke and the Mandalorian finale. I disagree with her on Twitter, but after seeing it myself, I can't help but agree.
What?
On the Mandalorian finale about Luke in it and all that. So that's, I like, that's what I said, what I've said before and what I'll say always, and what I'll continue to say all about it is, everyone responded differently. Everyone is allowed to feel how they want to feel about it. I'm not mad about anyone who liked it if I didn't. Right? I'm not mad about it a second. People can like what they like and dislike what they dislike. You guys have heard Anna and I this entire season of the Matriarchy. My favorite episodes of The Mandalorian have been her least favorite and vice versa. The one I couldn't stand. So we've gone back and forth on that the whole time. So it's never a problem for me if someone doesn't like what I like or anything like that. It's just a problem. People stop considering the larger implications. They want to rewrite the past because they feel good about the present. And what you see is that's the problem, where it doesn't matter at the end of the day. What'd you say?
Oh, let me highlight this because how do you not know what this is? It says Anna has Motley Crue for a checker. This is David Bowie in Labyrinth, and that's Sarah. That's Jennifer Connelly.
At the end of the day, it's it really doesn't. People are talking now, the rumors and this and that, and was Kathleen Kennedy involved in the Mandalorian? How involved in this? At the end of the day, it does not matter. Because at the end of the day, her name is on everything that comes out of Lucasfilm as executive producer, which means the buck stops with her in terms of the credit too, which is why after months of dead air from Star Wars, nothing coming out of the Star Wars camp, we suddenly got this whole big, and especially after all these announcements that even made us feel like, okay, there's some Republic stuff and this and that and the other. Well, they've got a lot of these good shows. Maybe we're course correcting. Maybe we're finally there. It's no mistake that the very first big new project announcement to come out after the Disney announcing all their new shows and stuff is the High Republic. It's Kathleen Kennedy showing her hand. It's Kathleen Kennedy waving her Star Wars dick around and going, I'm still in control, motherfuckers. The High Republic is my little project. And now that the juice is back in the blender and the, you know, whatever gas is in the tank, I can do whatever the fuck I want. And that's what she's doing. And so that was my only point. It's like, you can love that. There are moments I've enjoyed from Disney Star Wars. There are moments, you know, few and far between. Very few and very far between. But when they happen, I'm not going to cut myself off from going, okay, that was actually pretty good, just because I hate everything else Disney does. I'm not going to be that person that wants to cross my arm and go, yeah, just because I've decided to hate it. There are things I like, I'll say it. There are things I don't, I won't, right? And that's all whatever. So like what you like, don't like what you don't, but just remember that turning around, it's one thing to say, I loved this moment. This Luke Skywalker moment was great. It made me feel good, blah. Don't suddenly roll over and go, everything's fixed, everything's better, la, la, la.
Well,
Right?
did anyone say everything is fixed? Like my big thing when I saw that, and I had to explain it better, because I remember when we texted and you like went off and I was like, okay, I'm not explaining this well, but when you texted me, I had just woken up and I'm like, I'm going to talk to Jesse about this because this is going to get lost in text. So people lost their minds on my tweet, and I'm like, this is what I think that they are doing. And I remember somebody's told me from Lucasfilm that Jon Favreau saw The Last Jedi and he's like, he's a huge Star Wars fan and he hated it. And he's like, I need to do something. So obviously he has to get Kathleen Kennedy's approval. Yeah. So yes, she's going to be the executive producer. She's going to sign off on everything. And when I watched that, and then I did this tweet where I said, they're going to use the world between worlds to try to slowly retcon and say that future with Rey and all of that stuff is a different reality. Now, you and I are both logical thinking people, but they are not. So we have to think like them, which is why when I said this tweet, I'm like, this is stupid, but this is what I think, me trying to put myself and, you know, empathize and think the way that they do, is that this is how they would do it. And obviously Kathleen Kennedy is old. She's going to retire eventually. This might take them a decade. This might take them 2 decades. But what I think they're going to try to do is with Luke taking Baby Yoda, because Kylo was supposed to be Luke's first student. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Kylo is old enough, or that in their Disney canon that he was being trained yet. So this is what I think that they are going to slowly try to do. And since Dave Filoni is involved, is that they are going to say that, by when Ezra brought Ahsoka back in Rebels, now it's like the world between worlds. It's a different time. I don't think it's going to happen next year. I don't think it's going to happen in 5 years. I think they're going to have to wait until Kathleen Kennedy is gone. And then it's going to be like J.K. Rowling saying, all of this happened years after the fact. I think that's what's going to happen when all of a sudden the future doesn't make sense. Yeah. And they're so far in and it's not making sense. So that's me trying to think like them.
I hope that. I don't think so. I don't think there are any plans.
Well, see, I wanted to tweet that because I have a feeling that that's going to happen. So in like 10 years from now, and I bookmark that tweet, I'm going to retweet it and say because everyone started going off on me, and I'm like, just wait. In 10 years, I'm going to retweet that and say, I told you so.
I'm going to have to reply to your tweet and say $100 says you're wrong, so that 10 years from now.
Well, we have until we die.
That's fair. That's not. Well, then I'm fine, definitely. But here was my problem. Things like this. This was a screenshot I took because it really struck me. Especially, I'm not going to say who wrote it, but the person who wrote it was even more surprising that it came from them, because I did not expect this level of softness towards Disney from this person. But they wrote, there are plot holes in most stories, but when a story is as entertaining and emotionally moving as this was, they cease to matter. It's like a great magician can make you forget it's a trick. A great magician can captivate you. This was wonderful. And that was their response to somebody pointing out the plot holes that were problematic and asking why this person who's usually very, very stringent on hammering, Disney on stuff was suddenly giving all these plot holes a pass. And that was their response. That response doesn't sit well with me at all, because it literally says that. It says, I'm willing, literally what it says, I am willing to forgive Disney bullshit as long as they appease me by giving me the things I want. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that statement, like I said, there's a reason I didn't read who wrote it because it will change how you feel about it. But I wanted you to just hear that statement without
Can you read it again?
who wrote it and formulate your own opinion.
Read it again for me, please.
Sure. So again, it's in response to somebody challenging this individual saying, well, there's all these plot holes in this episode and this season and whatnot, and them not refuting the plot holes, but then eventually saying there are plot holes in most stories, but when a story is as entertaining and emotionally moving as this was, they cease to matter. It's like a great magician can make you forget it's a trick. A great magician can captivate you. This was wonderful.
Now I really want to know who wrote that.
I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
And it comes from somebody who usually is the person who I think goes too far in not giving them a pass, and it's like hammering them on every little thing. So once again, what this tells me is that there are people in our community willing to be suckered in by the smoke and mirrors effect and really soften and reverse very, very previously hard and clear stances just because they saw something that made them feel good.
Well, see, like me, obviously I cried, but the whole live stream, I'm talking shit about the episode. I'm like, this is stupid. Why are they doing this? Really, they would have died already. Why are they only? I'm like, you're getting this this fucking droid is strangling Mando and it's punching him in the face. I'm like, just break his fucking neck, you dumbass. And so I was bitching this entire time, but the second I saw Luke, the reason why it got me in the feels, and honestly, I think I started crying more when I saw R2 because I'm like, R2 was turned off in a corner, and now it's like I know why they did that. They did it because it's like, well, how can you get past? It's like when you're when you want to trick your parents into letting you do something that they would never let you do, and so you have to find loopholes. That's what it was to me. But what really got me in the feels was that this must have made Mark Hamill feel so good, because it's like, I'm going to play a clip, and it's like, you have this brokenheartedness, and then they were able to do something. And so that way he could be Luke and, be whole, it's like an homage, like when somebody dies and it's like, let's do something to remember the heyday. And so that's what it felt like. But think about this clip that I'm about to show you, and then think about, how that would have made Mark Hamill feel getting to do that in The Mandalorian.
Is this guy? How did the most optimistic, hopeful character in the galaxy turn into this hermit who says it's time for the Jedi to end? I read that and I said, what? I mean, that's not what a Jedi does. I mean, a Jedi is optimistic. A Jedi has tenacity. He never gives up. He doesn't secrete himself on an island. But you'll.
I never noticed that he's clearly visibly drunk in that interview.
I didn't notice that. But see, I play those clips with Mark Hamill before I do every stream. And so I have to watch them because I'm getting all the clips ready. So I have been watching those clips for, 3 years now. And getting to see The Mandalorian, it wasn't like, oh, this is wrong, this doesn't fit Luke Skywalker. It's like, no. They tried. They did something, and this is probably... And then the way that Ryan talks to him and talked down to him and belittled him and said, oh, no, there's nothing in this that I would fix. It was perfect. It's like, you sick son of a bitch. You knew exactly what you were doing, you pathetic scumbag. And getting to see Luke get off the X-Wing and, fly in with the X-Wing and then kill everything and show up and get to hold Baby Yoda. It was like, oh my God, this probably meant so much to Mark Hamill. And, it hit me in the feels. It doesn't fix anything that Disney has done. It doesn't fix Last Jedi. It doesn't fix any of the Disney fan fiction shit.
Because at the end of the day, it really is just a very mediocre episode with a very stellar moment.
Yes.
I had some other moments in it that I liked. I thought it had some good moments and some bad moments. But in that one, outside, horrific CGI aside, everything else, horrific CGI aside, you also have to separate how this doesn't work with anything in Disney Star Wars so far, and that's a big problem that they do have to answer for at some point. it's a really, really well-written Luke moment. I love, one of my favorite things about it is the choreography. You've heard me bitch ad nauseum about how terrible the choreography is in the Star Wars era. Of course, that's going to be one of my pet peeves as a fencer. And to watch them get the choreography, not just have it be good, but have it look the same as the way they did the original movies. To have this, whoever they got, I can't remember the guy's name who played the body double, move the way Mark Hamill moved when he was young and fighting Darth Vader and shit. It was such a delight. The choreography, it was Star Wars. It felt, that moment looked cooler, was better choreographed, was a better moment than Darth Vader in Rogue One by a long shot. Like,
yeah.
I would watch this one over that one any day. And the writing for what it's doing, for all the way it retcons that, beautiful. But exactly like you said, it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't even fix the episode. It doesn't fix the season. It doesn't fix the series. It doesn't fix Disney. It doesn't fix anything moving forwards unless we get some real answers from Star Wars. So thank you, Star Wars, for giving us this wonderful gift, but you still have a lot to answer to, and I'm waiting for those answers.
Well, you know what really drives me crazy is when somebody asks you a question, but they have no intention of actually wanting to hear what you have to say. They ask you the question so that way they can answer it and tell you how they can answer the question for you. So I was talking to someone off air that was really upset by the episode, and they were really upset that I liked it. Mm-hmm. And they asked me, like, well, what did you like about it? And I was trying to explain just like I did with you. And it was like, I said, well, it made me feel, and the second I said that, it was this person going off on me, well, not going off on me, but going off of their frustration about how it doesn't fix anything. I'm like, well, if you listen to me, I could have explained to you my point of view. But people don't ask you questions to listen. They ask questions to respond. And I feel like a lot of the backlash of this episode was people getting frustrated, but it's like, but you're not listening to one another. Like, you obviously wouldn't, I knew exactly how you felt about it when we texted about the episode. I'm like, okay, no, I need to talk to Jesse because things get messed up in translation. This is something we need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But so that's honestly one of my biggest frustrations. And I remember Drunk got really upset. He's like, let me have my moment. And people are really upset, but it's like, listen to where a person is coming from before you get upset about them. And I think that's one thing that it's like, you know, you and I can completely, no, Borg Pork, that's not who it was. No, it was, it's not a YouTube person. It was somebody in real life that I was talking to about it that likes Star Wars as well, but they don't do the whole YouTube sphere.
That's Raging Rhino. He's been my buddy. Solidarity this whole time. So, great Rhino.
but no, it's just, and you know that's what, because it's like with people on YouTube, it's like I can talk to Jesse, I can talk to Drunk, I can talk to Jeremy, I can talk to Mary, I can talk to people. But then it's like when I'm talking to a friend, you know, from college where, you know, we both wanted to work at Lucasfilm, we both did things, and we both, you know, work kind of in the same industry. And then it's like, well, no, I asked you this question, but let me give you my answer. It's like, well, did you actually want to hear what I had to say? Or did you just want to tell me what you thought? Because if you want to tell me what you thought, that's fine, but don't present it in a way as, you know, I'm asking you because I genuinely want to know what you have to say when you really don't. But so after that happened, and then I saw everything that was going down on Twitter, I'm like, it's just one of those things that it's like, it's one of my biggest pet peeves now. And I've noticed it happen so much, but it's like you and I, like you said, all the episodes of Mando that you liked, I hated. All the episodes that you didn't like, I was like, well, that's not, I was like, I enjoyed it. You know, it's not that I loved it, but I'm like, I thought it was funny.
The ones that you like the best are all the ones I hated. And
yeah.
And part of it, you liked all the you liked some of the Clone Wars, you know, characters coming and whatnot, but I don't know them, and I didn't like that, you know. So it was like, for you, it was like, this is the only good thing for me. I hate this whole show, so seeing recognizable characters, you know, showing up is a gift for me. For me, it's like, I like the rest of the show, so seeing these people that mean nothing to me is terrible. You know?
Well, you know what I was actually surprised about, because we haven't talked about this, was the Bo Burr episode. Yeah. I didn't know he was actually a pretty good actor.
A lot better than I thought he was. That was a really
I know. That was his episode. But the one thing about that is, like, Bo Burr did a great performance, but Mando was a side character in his own show, which I think is such detrimental. It's one thing when if Mando was a child, and it's a child and there is adults and the child is learning, but Mando's a full-grown, you know.
Now that said, what I will say is I don't.
Oh, Bill Burr, not Bo Burr. Oh my God, excuse me.
So, that said, yeah, I thought you were just misspeaking for a second. I was like, are you saying Boba or are you saying Bill?
No, Bill. For whatever reason, my mind's it's because Bo-Katan or Bo-Katan.
Go anyway.
So I was thinking that, and then Bill. Sorry,
Sorry,
guys, jumbled mind.
What I will say about that episode, though, why I don't think it felt for me like he was as much as sidelined as a lot of other people did. Like for me, that wasn't as I did feel that at points, but it wasn't as big of a problem for me in that episode as it was in certain other ones in the season because he does get that moment to actually take off the helmet. It's a really huge moment where Pedro Pascal demonstrates unequivocally that saving the child is more important than anything else, including his most fervent principles. And so that to me is really cool. And then also having that nice moment, that was another great character building moment with the Bill Burr character. So I like.
I really like Bill Burr's character. I didn't like him in season 1. I hated that episode with a burning passion. I thought it was
my favorite episode of season 1.
Well, it was painful for me to get through, but I didn't, because he's a comedian. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't expect him to be a good actor, if that makes sense. Like I didn't expect the level of quality of acting to come from somebody like him because that's not his main profession.
That was like when he had that moment right before he shoots the cabinet. I'm like, that's his little Oscar moment right there.
I know. I was like, I'm watching this. I'm like, this guy's a comedian. This guy isn't a professional actor. As far as I'm aware. I mean, I don't know. I don't know too much about him.
This is like, honestly, I think The Mandalorian is his first like serious dramatic work ever. So
he did a great job, and I was blown away by his performance because it's one of those things where your expectations are subverted in a good way. That was it. I'm not expecting this comedian to give this Oscar moment performance, but he did. And I was like, wow, that was pleasantly surprising.
It really was. I was super. I think that episode is actually my favorite episode of the whole series. Just because of some of those moments. It was nice. I liked it.
Let me catch up on some super chats because we are coming up on the 2-hour mark, even though I was gonna go for a lot less than that. AK Rex saying the super chat. First humans evolved from Africa. What the fuck? Laugh my ass off. What I know. That's the thing. It's like that's what I'm saying. Okay, either you weren't paying attention in school, or you need to report that school, and they need to do some serious investigation as to why that curriculum was not taught. Joseph said, think of it as an example of the divide between hero and protagonist. See Death Note, where the protagonist is a villain, not an anti-hero, a full-on villain. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like when you get the power of, writing, who you want to kill in this book. And I think John did a really good talk about that on one of the streams where he said, yeah, he's like, you see this good kid turn into a villain within like and it's kind of the idea of Brightburn, right? What happens if Superman is a villain, like a bad guy?
Look, I'll even argue that in the first Deadpool movie, Deadpool is a villain. He's just fighting worse villains. He's not a good guy in that movie. He doesn't do good or noble things. He doesn't enlist the help of the X-Men because he's a noble guy who wants to save the world. He's on a fucking revenge kick to try to get his face back. Like he just shoots the guy in cold blood at the end. Like Deadpool is not a hero. He is not an anti-hero. He really doesn't do anything all that great or noble in that movie. Yeah, he wants to save his girlfriend, but guess what? Villains want to save their girlfriends too. Like it's not. There's nothing. Like he becomes more of an anti-hero.
Well, I mean, look at Iceman.
Yeah.
No, not Iceman. Oh my God, why am I blanking? Because Iceman's in Rogue. No, not him. Not him. Sorry, I'm blanking on. He wants to kill everyone to bring back his dead wife. I'm sorry, I'm having a huge brain fart right now.
From what?
I don't know. I just know
the Crow, because that's the Crow.
Like, no, not Mr. Freeze. Not the Crow. It's a different movie.
The premise of the Crow is that.
Yeah, I know it's not that. No, I'm not. Sorry, Mr. Freeze was the one I was thinking about, not Iceman. I always say it wrong. But no, there's another character that he wants to kill everyone to bring back his dead wife, and everyone's like, "Bro, like just give it up already." It's not a superhero movie though.
What?
It's like a fantasy movie. Not Punisher. No. It's I want to say it's like a vampire movie, but it's not. I know. I don't remember. I remember. I'm having a brain fart. I'm gonna remember like tonight at 3 a.m.
Well, text me when that happens.
I know. It's like, oh, it's this movie. No, I want to say it's like a historical fiction movie or something, but it's like the guy, his wife died, and so he doesn't care if he's gonna kill people to bring her back. Oh my God, the mummy! The mummy.
The mummy
He wants to bring back his dead girlfriend.
Yes, but the mummy is definitively the villain of that movie all the way.
Well, but Jesse, that's my point. Is that villains want to bring back they want to save their girlfriends? That was my
point. We went through all that to prove that what I said is accurate.
Exactly. I'm sorry.
Yes, correct. Even villains. See, exactly. Imhotep's entire motivation is to bring his dead girlfriend, but he is unquestionably the villain. So just because Deadpool's motivation is to save his to all that stuff, it does not make him a fucking good guy. And that's I love
2016, the original one with what's his face and what's her face.
That's Lando, and actually, this one's Lando, guys. But no, that's why I love Deadpool so much, is because it never shies away from who he is. It never tries in the first one to redeem him at all. It just lets him be unrepentantly who he is, and I fucking love it. So,
no, but that's the point. It's like, yeah, even bad guys care about people.
Exactly. Caring about someone doesn't make you not a villain, and being a villain doesn't eliminate you from being the hero of your story. You know,
it's Brandon, not Brandon. But you know what drove me crazy about The Mummy and The Mummy Returns is that there was something off about Evie's face, and it drove me crazy until I realized what it was.
Huh? Until you realized who it was, and you're like, oh.
No, let me show you. Okay.
Oh. Because Rachel has a weird face thing. That's like when you realize the first moment you realize Tom Cruise has that weird tooth, and you can never unsee it.
No. I know he has a real his teeth are off ever since he's fixed it. Okay. So I'm gonna show
actually he is missing one of his he has one fewer teeth up in front than he should, and they've just been fixed to fill in, so you can't actually tell, especially the way they shoot him. But if you see his full smile, you can count, it looks really weird.
Okay, let me show you. Okay. So okay. God damn it. Okay. Here is Rachel Weisz in The Mummy. You know, she's pretty. This is the end scene. Okay. This is Rachel Weisz in The Mummy Returns. This drove me crazy. I was like, what is different about her face? It's the same actress, but she looks different. Eyebrows are important, people.
Eyebrows are very important.
It's like, oh my God, like you get like the trend. Like, look at her eyebrows right here.
You never noticed that.
No, it drove me crazy because I'm like, she's not like she looks gorgeous both ways, but
here she doesn't look really like Rachel Weisz. In the other one, she does. Like, she looks just like, but because she usually has fuller eyebrows, so like it's cool. It was neat. Like in this movie,
look at that! Look at how thin her eyebrows are. It's like, what on it? You can tell the trend, the fashion trend.
Yeah. Well, the neat thing is though, it's like for that look. You know, it's like it really transformed. She's a very recognizable face and very recognizable features. So doing that with her eyebrows really transformed her face for that movie, which was cool. It's a neat way that I don't think a lot of people think of, that like wardrobe can really, makeup and wardrobe can really change how a character, comes to life, which actually, by the way, is one of the big things I want to cover when I do the interview with Richard Chew. For those who haven't heard about that, I'm going to be interviewing Richard Chew, the editor, one of the 3 editors from Star Wars, the original film, as well as the editor of Risky Business and The Conversation, as well as myriad other projects. But
awesome, Jesse! I'm so excited for you.
I'm very excited too. But one of the big conceits and something we talked about, where he said, I don't want to just be a voice bringing, saying what everyone else says. And I said, you understand, one of the reasons I reach out to you specifically as an editor is you see a side of movie making that the public doesn't know is there, doesn't realize is there, and all that stuff. And then so exactly that, he was even telling me, explaining to me, pointing out how wardrobe were the heroes of Borat too. Wardrobe creating all those disguises, especially with a loose script and coming on location without having the resources ready beforehand, to whip up all these great disguises and costumes. That's part of what set this movie apart from the first one. It's the one new fun gimmick that this movie has to offer that the first one doesn't really bring to the table. So it was little things like that. So I'm really excited to this interview and really get to dive into and talk about little things. Like I think you'll really eat it up, because it's, you have that eye for detail. So these little decisions that an editor can make that may change just a few frames, may change one line of dialogue, may choices makeup makes to go with one color or one style of makeup, or hair or whatever, can drastically alter the way we experience the finished product.
Well, yes, and let me address this, guys. Yeah, I know it was the style of the time. It was just when I was a kid and these movies were coming out, I'm like, I know that's the same actress, but what's different? And then when I got older and I started doing makeup, and you do your eyebrows, that's when I realized, I'm like, oh, it's her eyebrows that are different. I know it was the style and it was more accurate, but that was just something that I noticed that I was like, oh my God, it makes a difference. But I mean, I even started doing that. Somebody commented like, oh, your eyebrows are different. I'm like, yeah, I know. I had really a big problem with resting bitch face. And so I went and I did research, and one of my friends, she's a professional cosplayer. She's Asian. And so she's like, well, you never really see Asians with resting bitch face. And she's like, it's because our eyebrows are straight. So I started doing my eyebrows differently, and it's fixed my resting bitch face problem.
That's hilarious.
So if you can't tell, my eyebrows are more straight now, because they used to
they were different, but I didn't notice that was.
Well, no. So my eyebrows used to come down, and it used to end at this
Now
mole.
that you point it out, I see. Yeah.
So I've done my eyebrows differently, and now when I'm sitting here, I don't have resting bitch face anymore. I fixed it with just doing my eyebrows differently.
I don't do anything to my eyebrows. I just let them be.
You have perfect eyebrows though, so you don't even have to worry about it.
I am very fortunate.
But let me get back to super chats, everyone. Joseph says, thank you for another super chat, and it just says anti-hero. I get it because you put ant-hero. It's okay, don't worry about that. Usually we can figure out when it's like a typo. Edge of Chaos, thank you for your super chat, even though you did not say anything. And thank you for another super chat where you did say something. What are your thoughts on the Antichrist Kathleen Kennedy and her apprentice Brick Larson doing a show for Disney Plus? Lastly, love you guys. Please don't. Actually, you know what? It will give me and Jesse a lot of
material.
But at the same time, I'd rather not have to deal with that shit.
When it comes to rumors, my statement is only as to whether I hope it does or doesn't happen, and I hope it does not, because I do not want to see more damage done to Star Wars.
Exactly. Evan Rimlord, thank you for the super chats. They will have the Jedi up to SJW values, and people like me and you and all others like us will be queen in as villains. Love from Denton, Texas. Oh, well, thank you for the super chat.
What's up?
Yeah, if you already read the intro, Ethan posted screenshots from like the sample book where it's like, oh yeah, they're fighting for like X, Y, and Z, and it's like we all know what those X, Y, and Z things are. Helva XH834, thank you for the super chat. Just want to say Jesse was right about the Luke and the Mandalorian. I disagree with her but Twitter after seeing it myself, I find I can't help but agree. And I think you read that and addressed that earlier.
Yes, I did.
The fighting expert, thank you for the super chat. The High Republic made me throw up thinking about how bad the fighting will be. They're probably going to be those authors that just say, oh, there was a battle, and then, oh, their blades hit. They made eye contact. They slowly were fighting their way, and they get to the end of the precipice, and as their lightsabers meet, their eyes connect, and then it's like where they don't even talk about the fighting style. They're just talking about how the characters are feeling as this fight is going on, which is fine. There's plenty of books where it's not about the fight. It's about the psychology behind the fight.
Yeah.
And how the characters feel. And then there's other novels where it's all about go read Game of Thrones,
And I'm okay with that. And that's the thing. Even the Star Wars universe, where you have the precedents with lore, with different fighting. Jesus fucking Christ! Your dick is small. We get it.
What is it?
What?
What was that about?
I don't know. The people drive down our people around here for some reason think it makes their dick seem bigger if they take the mufflers off their engines. But it does not. Anyway, where were we? That just boggled my train of thought right quick. So, books and things and people fighting. Yes. I'm not even bothered even with the precedence of, very clear-cut fighting styles with things like lightsabers and Star Wars. I don't think that the technical aspects of fighting should be a barrier from quality writing. That said, if every High Republic book is absent good fighting, then it's a problem. If a few of your authors, that's not their bent, so they're fights are more written. Because I always say a good fight, the choreography tells the story of the fight. So if you're not showing me the choreography, but you're just telling me the story, I don't care if the story's told in the Clash of the Blades or the feelings being conveyed through looks. However, if we're existing again in a universe that has that precedent, that has EU novels with tons and tons of well-written fight scenes, explicitly going through the tactics of the two sides or the movements of the fighters, then if that's your precedence, then some things in your new era of work should reflect that. Not all of them have to, but some should. If none of them do, that's going to be a problem for me.
Yeah, I mean, and me and Jessie are very different in this, where she likes all of that stuff, and me, I'm just, if it's done visually and cool, you have to be a really good author to write a fight scene and get me to engage with it, because I care more about like intense dialogue scenes and, you know, the person to person, because the idea that, I mean, a weapon is a weapon, but nothing is as dangerous as your mind or, you know, your intelligence. And so that's why I love The Silence of the Lambs. You know, the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath. For people that don't know the difference, go read that book. You will learn. Hannibal Lecter is a sociopath. Buffalo Bill is a psychopath, and you can see the difference.
Different now. That definition has flipped in the DSM in the past 10 or so years, by the way.
Oh, well, yeah, that's because people don't know anything about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I realized that flipped, and I got pissed off. It's like, no, a sociopath was always the super cool, heartless one. A psychopath was always the emotionally volatile, moody one. That's flipped now. You know when it happened? Actually, it was remember that big popular book about there's a 1 in every 25 persons is a psychopath or something. That was when it happened. That whole book, they misappropriate. They've used psychopath instead of sociopath and used it interchangeably. And then from then on, psychopath just became, I think it was so popular.
Well, I'm going to go with the actual definition, not the people that did it. So,
what I'm saying is the actual DSM definition now, like in psychology, has flipped because
they're changing things like I've heard that the Oxford dictionary is super woke, so they change definitions now. Okay.
I'm just letting you know that in case you run into someone who's trying to tell you that you're wrong, that was a shift that happened. So you can tell them, no, you're wrong.
Well, for those that don't know, the actual, in criminal psychology and in, you know, when you're dealing with criminals, a sociopath is somebody that has, I mean, I guess it could be considered as a disability, but it's when a sociopath is somebody that is unable to empathize with anyone other than themselves. And they are very narcissistic, but a narcissistic person does not immediately mean that they are a sociopath. A sociopath is somebody that is unable to empathize with other people. And a narcissistic person can. A narcissistic person they can be completely narcissistic, but they can still care about their mom, their brother, their sister, their friends. Yeah. A sociopath is not like that. But if you read this is completely off topic, but I like that kind of stuff when the battle is a battle of wits and wills. Whereas Jessie, she likes fighting and stuff. Not to say I don't like fighting and, you know, seeing lightsaber battles, but they don't have as much impact for me if there's no passion or emotion behind it.
One day I'm going to have to teach you about épée fencing because I think you'll really, really like it.
I mean, I liked fencing in Star Trek.
But I mean, seriously, if you got into learning about épée, because it's you know, still the physical sport and stuff, but it's 100%. Most of what you're watching looks boring to a lot of people because what's actually happening is it's two people feeling each other out, trying to outthink each other in the moment, like playing mental chess with each other back and forth, feeling out each other's distance and all this stuff. And so,
that's like what happens in Star Trek. So that's when Guinan and Picard are fencing. It's like that. That's how you get me interested in that. And this is just 100% my own personal taste.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't like sword fights. To me, if a fight lacks that emotion in it, it's not well done. I don't think it's I think you're 100% right on the money. I don't think we actually disagree as much as you think about sword fighting and things because.
Well, I think you're more. It's not just sword fighting; it's like gunfights and stuff. But I think I care more about that than I do. If that makes sense.
What I'll say is, I can appreciate the technical elements in a way that doesn't appeal to you at all. When it comes to actually assessing or evaluating the scene as a whole, you and I come to it from the same way, which is that it has to serve story. I don't care how technically beautiful and cool it looks. there's no emotion, it doesn't serve the story, I don't think it was done well or right. For you, it's the same thing. Doesn't matter how technical or spectacular it is. If there's no emotion and feeling, the story's not being furthered by this, then it just doesn't appeal to you. So I think it's really cool that even though we have these, very different interests in it, levels of interest in it, we still have a common ground in what we agree are the important elements of story.
There you go. Yeah, but why did I get on this anyway? Somebody said something about the fighting, right?
Yes, we got into choreography from they're saying how they're expecting it to be really bad in the High Republic.
Oh yeah, which I mean, okay, if these are people that are writing, so obviously you're not going to get a visual. So if they're fighting and it's not technically good, like you can sit there and what you were saying that the choreography for the Revenge of the Sith is terrible, right?
It's not bad choreography, it's very bad sword fighting.
Okay, well, see, I didn't notice any of that because for me, I'm like the emotional intensity in it is what did it for me. I didn't notice any of the technicalities, in The Last Jedi, and they have that fight scene. And it's like even I noticed that shit. Like, come on, what are you doing?
That's why I say Revenge of the Sith is bad sword fighting, not bad choreography. Because I do think the movements they're doing convey the emotions that are transpiring. I think, however, the
Princess Bride is perfect.
The Princess Bride is perfect. But however, the other thing with Revenge of the Sith too is like it's part of the reason the sword fighting suffers is because they're trying to serve the story. They're treating these big set pieces that allow for these big arcing lamer motions so that they can have their back and forth building to this, ultimate betrayal that Obi-Wan feels from Anakin. And so to me, like I say, it's good choreography because everything in the choreography serves the story. It's bad sword fighting because it's just technically bad sword fighting. But I would prefer that over The Last Jedi, where it's like you could say the same things. Okay, well, there's the emotion of the story. Because, I will agree. They convey the emotion of these two characters through that story well. But the technical mistakes, make it so the it's not that it's bad sword fighting, it's bad choreography. The choreography is so heinously bad that it distracts you from the story and detracts from the story they're trying to tell you rather than enhancing it like it should.
There you go. And yes, The Princess Bride is a wonderful example of a movie sword fight that not only looks wonderful but serves the story. My name is Inigo Montoya.
They trained for like 8 months for that thing too. And I didn't until Dr. Alex pointed this out. If you watch really carefully, though, you can tell both of them are definitely right-handed because their form is just a little off. It's a little less pristine when they're fighting in the beginning left-handed.
Well, don't they say that they're both?
They do, but they're saying is it actually took somebody pointing it out to me, a fencer, to watch really carefully and notice how it's subtle. It's literally just their weight, their balance is a little more forward because they're not as used to balancing in that position. It's so small.
I want to do a cosplay where I dress up as Inigo and you dress up as Wesley.
You'll have to be Wesley because I'm Inigo, he's Fezzik.
No, your beautiful blonde hair. I'm going just based off of our visuals.
But he's Fezzik. Fine, you can be Inigo. I'll be you have to be Vicini because you're tiny.
Shut up.
It'll be perfect. You'll be Vicini, I'll be Inigo, and Jeff will be Fezzik.
No!
We'll have the perfect troop.
No.
Fine, I'll be Wesley, you can be Inigo, and Tulip can be Vicini.
No, Tulip can be Buttercup. Tulip's gonna be the princess. Are you kidding me? Tulip's gotta be the princess.
It can be Vicini then.
But anyways, we're going for so long, so let me read some super chats. Did I read this one? Gek 812 fingers super chat. Anna and Jesse, you look Disney Gallery Star Wars Mandalorian. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. 007 Cloud, thank you for the super chat. Sup, guys? Have some money. Ryan is a cunt. Yes, he is. Evan Rimler, thank you for the super chat. Jesse, you is a fellow fencer. Smiley face.
Goddamn right. Saber all the way. Real men fence saber, even though I'm a woman.
007 Cloud, thank you for the super chat. Jesse, you seen Adoria Olmuk YouTube channel. They do some cool realistic sword fighting. I'm gonna just put this in the private chat so you.
I saw it earlier. I didn't grab it. Get a screen grab from it, but I'll
I put it in the.
Thank
right
you.
There. Let me refresh this. Okay, I think I might be caught up if that was the last one. I am. Okay. So I'm all caught up on these super chats.
But I'm definitely have to check out that channel because it sounds definitely up my alley. So thank you. Thank you for the tip.
Saw Anna next to Jeremy, and she makes Jeremy look tall. Jeremy is tall. He's 6 feet something, right? He's 6'1".
Is he 6 foot? No, Jeremy's like 5.
Yeah, Jeremy's 6 foot because Ethan is 6'1", and Jeremy and Ethan are like the same height. So I think Jeremy's 6'1" as well.
Jeremy's like 5'11", if that.
Jeremy's tall.
Jeremy is not 6 feet. I will put money on Jeremy not.
We will get a measuring tape. But well, okay. I think a lot of people think Jeremy's short, but he's not.
Do you think Jeremy? Do you think Jeremy's over 6 feet?
Maybe. He was the first thing I thought was you're taller than I thought. But then again, you called attention how skinny he really is. So
yeah, Jeremy's really skinny.
And one thing to keep into account too, like I'm that much taller than everybody I interact with, so I just don't. I'm not a good person to judge.
That's fair. I'm just gonna text Jeremy. I'm gonna be like, Jeremy.
No, Jeremy is 6 feet. I remember him saying that people never realize how tall he is, because but I think what the big thing is that people don't realize how skinny Jeremy is. You know, Jeremy's really, really thin. I have a picture. Let me find it. It's in my Star Wars theory video.
Anna makes everybody look tall.
I really do, though. I'm really freaking short. Okay, I showed a picture.
And Jeremy's way more than 3 inches shorter than Jeff. So
okay.
Jeremy's
here is this was God damn it.
Where's the picture?
So there's me, there's Star Wars Theory, and there's Jeremy.
Yeah, but Star Wars Theory is also a shrimp too. Like Star Wars Theory looks like a regular sized person next to you, and you're a midget. So
well, Star Wars, yeah, that's true.
Like, Jeremy doesn't look.
He is also punching though. He's not standing up straight.
Jeremy doesn't look that much taller than you.
Well, this is at an angle, and also these shoes give me. They're like that.
I mean, I think he's a lot taller than you. I'm just saying he doesn't look like he's like feet and feet and feet. It doesn't seem like he's like, you know, a gajillion feet. I don't know. Whatever.
Yes, I do have to wear children's clothing. But okay, so this was it's also taken at like an angle, so it's weird because well, you can kind of see how you can see how the picture kind of curves, if that makes sense. Like my body looks, it's like it's not fisheye like this. It's like I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, this wasn't taken on my phone though. This was taken on.
Stood next to Jeremy. I know how tall he is, and he is 5'11" and 3/4 at the absolute tallest. He's one of those people who's like 5'11" and a half and calls himself 6 feet. I guarantee you.
I don't know. Well, I mean, everyone's tall to me, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm just short. But yeah, so there's me, there's Jeremy, and there's Star Wars Theory. So that is the height. Let me read the super chat. AK Rex, thank you for the super chat. What's up, dude? Jess, I will duel you in sword fighting someday. That will be fun. Also, Anita Sarkeesian is a body shamer. Prove me wrong. Got to go. Love you all. Oh, well, thank you.
I'm pretty sure you proved that true before, so.
What?
I said, I'm pretty sure you and I have proved that to be true on this channel.
100%.
Yeah, she's a bitch. In no uncertain terms. We watched her body shame. Apparently, women are not allowed to have big tits anymore, and they should be ashamed.
No.
Because clearly,
apparently, my body type is not allowed.
Anna, how dare you be born with big tits just to please men? How dare you? That just shows your internalized misogyny that you biologically grew larger tits because you were trying to serve white men. It's fucking bullshit. Total. All right, Jeremy texted back. Here we go. Jeremy says 6 foot. So I'm responding. So 5'11" and a half. So 5'11".
I think I am all caught up on super chats. So everyone, thank you so much for being here. We are past the 2-hour mark. Let me share this. So I want everyone to go raid Drunk Stream and go say. I want you all to go tell Drunk how handsome he is and say that Star Wars girl and Jesse sent you so we could all look at how handsome you are, Drunk.
Guys, Jay, Drunk 3PO now has more subscribers than me. He has passed me in subs. So huge congratulations to a guy who would tell me, who gets moony-eyed and starry-eyed when he fucking talks to me, who is now more subscribers than I do. So I couldn't be happier for this guy. Congratulations. I can't wait till he wakes up one day and realizes that he's not looking up at us anymore, but he's here with us. So
I'm so happy.
And he has been for months and months and months. He just hadn't realized it, you know?
He is such a great person. He's done so much for the world. But I'm going to end the stream. But everyone, I have it up. Say that Star Wars girl and Jesse Milestone raid and go tell Drunk how handsome he is. Go say we all came here to see your handsome face, Drunk.
Straight.
Well, let's see if I can hear them.
After The Last Jedi, I looked at
No,
Star Wars
he's talking about Star Wars.
through a different lens. And I'm not like
Go, everyone, go.
No.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to end the stream. Everyone go over there and tell Drunk how handsome he is. And until next time, go check out Jesse. We're going to be on Jesse's channel next week around 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go sub to Jesse. It's mindless entertainment. And until next time, everyone, have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon. Go raid Drunk. And may the force be with you because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone.
I'll tell you where I thought I came in. In the forest, when the lightsaber goes like this and flies off, I said, oh, what a great entrance. Ah! Ray caught it? She hasn't even been to Dagobah for training.